the solution. If you have ED, seek out Northeast Men's Health. Go there. You've got nothing to lose. I am having good sex, but it's not just about the sex. Colors are brighter. My mood was brighter. I had more passion for everything in my life, not just sex, everything. I'm going to Northeast Men's Health. Go there, give it a try, meet the people there. They'll take care of you.
Thanks, Bill. It's true. If you're like most men, we'll help you get your sex life back. For just $99, you'll get a medical consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call today, 800-9...
All right, here we go.
56. Got it. Or go to northeastmenshealth.com. That's northeastmenshealth.com.
Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the Radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the Radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I tried. As soon as I said it, I knew it. I felt it. After the show on Monday, I knew it was going to happen. In the great words of Michael Corleone.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Just when I thought I was out, this son of a gun pulls me back in. I just said it. What was it, last week? It had to be Friday. I said I was going to lay off this guy. I was going to bother him anymore. Last time I talked about it was like Sunday. I was like, I'm not going to bring this guy up. He's polling at 1%. What use do I have to beat up on this guy? It made no sense. Not like, hey, Reese's ever going to be on the show. And I know I had delusions of grandeur to think that he would come on the program. Yeah, I know. I was misguided, silly, crazy even. And I said, what's the use just beating up on the guy? I seem like a bully. So I said I was going to lay off. But then, I don't know, he decided to just show up everywhere. I guess maybe he thought, hey, maybe this 1% isn't enough for me. I need to gain some more ground. I've been in every publication. I've been on every podcast except the ones that matter. And I've decided I'm going to be seen doing my job. Show up at these Senate hearings. Figure I berate a few cabinet secretaries. And I end up on the news. And he did. He was successful, ladies and gentlemen. He was. And it was easy. It was easy pickings. It was fish in a barrel for me to make fun of this guy with all the nonsense that he was spewing. And then he did this morning. Out of Politico, and everyone's talking about it. And I have to be honest. This will be his undoing. I have to be honest with you. This will be Chris Murphy's undoing. Your judgment is askew, Senator. You are a liar. You are a bold-faced liar. There's no other way to put this. You lied to the American people. You were a surrogate for this man, former President Joseph R. Biden, and you lied to the American people. And you think that this quote in Politico is going to save you, give you some sort of salvation, or at least garner the trust of the American people, much less nutmeggers? You can forget about it. Murphy says, no doubt. Folks, you have no idea. Those two words absolutely disqualify him. Chris Murphy says, no doubt, Biden suffered cognitive decline while in office. Not during the campaign, not when he resigned, while in office. And he thinks, and I'm telling you, he's under this belief, he's going to be the guy that says, I'll do it. The rest of you are being wishy-washy. I'll be the champion of the American people. I'll tell the truth. No, Mr. Murphy, you will not get away with that. You will never be allowed to get away with that. And all you people who sit up here and call up this show defending him against Donald Trump, folks, I defend this. Defend all of it, because we're going to go through it. We're definitely going to go through it. Remember, when we were all saying that Joe Biden was in mental decline, Christopher Murphy was telling everyone that Joe Biden is a compelling figure.
Listen, I think the president is an incredibly compelling figure, and I would hope that the White House will send him out all over the country to just be who he is, right? He comes across as Scranton Joe Biden when he is engaging with voters, and I hope he does more of that. I think he will.
Yes, he is a compelling figure. Well, he is a much more compelling figure when he's Scranton Joe Biden. That was Chris Murphy on ABC News. That wasn't even it. It gets worse than that. After the debate, Chris Murphy was asked about his support for Joe Biden. Here's what he said.
I support Joe Biden, period, stop. But I know that there are a lot of voters out there that need to be convinced that Thursday night's debate performance was a bad night. And ultimately, I'm supporting Joe Biden. I'm going to vote for Joe Biden, but the president needs millions of votes.
I support Joe Biden, period. Stop. Murphy says, no doubt, Biden suffered cognitive decline while in office. Period. Stop. He supported him. Maybe Chris Murphy has bad judgment, because he also said this about his trust of Joe Biden.
Let me just ask you straight this key question. Do you think President Biden should remain on the Democratic Party's ticket as the nominee for president?
I take the president at his word. He has said that he believes that he is up to do this job. I have seen him do this job at an absolutely exceptional level. No president has had this level of legislative accomplishment in their first 4 years as Joe Biden. I think that he's got to go out there this week and show the American public that he is still that Joe Biden, that they have come to know and love. I take him at his word. I believe that he can do it. But I think that this is a really critical week. I do think the clock is ticking.
Yes, the clock is ticking. I take Joe Biden at his word. I take Joe Biden at his word. And that wasn't even the worst of it. In that little answer, remember what Chris Murphy says in that little tidbit. Let me take you back to today's statement. Quote, no doubt Biden suffered cognitive decline while in office. How does Chris Murphy know that? He said it right there. He said, I've seen Joe Biden in person.
I have seen him do this job at an absolutely exceptional level.
I've seen him do this job as an exceptional level. Sir, therefore you are lying. You told Dana Bash and the American people, the very few who watched that show, that you've seen him do this job. And I know you can't see it on the video, but I want you to watch it. When he's looking at the camera, he's squinting at it. He's like affirmative in his resistance to anyone who would think that Joe Biden wasn't on his P's and Q's.
I have seen him do this job at an absolutely exceptional level.
Yeah, in an exceptional level. That's not even the worst part. Chris Murphy, who's now saying, no doubt, Biden suffered cognitive decline while in office. Chris Murphy told us before he was with them a lot.
All of that doesn't happen without Joe Biden. He is a master legislative tactician. He was involved in a detailed way in the passage of all of those bills. I know because I wrote the gun bill and I was talking to Joe Biden on a regular basis. You pair that together with this dramatic expansion of the economy, America recovering at a faster pace than all of our other high-income competitors, and there is really zero evidence that Joe Biden can't do this job.
Zero evidence that he could do this job, that he can't do this job. Zero evidence. Until now. Until now, Chris Murphy. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy said there's no doubt the former President Joe Biden suffered a cognitive decline in office. It would have been better for the party if he hadn't run for re-election. Quote, there's no doubt about it. The debate is whether it was enough that it compromised his ability to act as chief executive. Now he's talking about whether or not Joe Biden could act as chief executive. Now he's questioning it. He's having the same argument I had yesterday about whether or not he was ever able to do his job. But you heard him in his own words. I've seen him do this job. I've worked with him hand in hand, foot to foot, toe to toe. He's a compelling figure. They should put him out there more. This disqualifies this dude. Who can trust him now? That's what this whole exercise is about. That's what all of this is about. And the reason why Chuck Schumer is saying we're moving forward. Timo Obama is saying we're moving forward. J.D. Pritzker, we're moving forward. Not Chris Murphy. He thinks that this is the way to go. Chris, let me help you, buddy. Lie. It's what you do best. How do we know? Do we need to go back to this?
I have seen him do this job at an absolutely exceptional level.
Stick to lying. You do that brilliantly. Don't come out here now all of a sudden you want to tell us after the fact. After the fact? And you think that this is a winning argument for you? No. You were questioning anyone who even brought it up. You chastised them. You condemned them. You blamed President Trump for it. Anyone who would suggest it was just right-wing propaganda. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. It's everywhere. And this crazy part about this Politico ad, everybody picked up on it. And I know some people are going to say, wow, the candor of Chris Murphy. It won't last. And when I tell you this, look, my wife gets mad at me all the time. She goes, it's actually kind of annoying, Reese, when you predict how the news media is going to react to this. Because it's easy. This is grade school. Every person who knows anything about this subject knows that Chris Murphy did himself no favors here. He's calling himself, even in the article, they're saying, Murphy, who's widely viewed as a potential 2028 presidential contender, also said it would have been helpful to Democrats if Biden declined to mount a 2024 bid. You mean the one that he helped on? Quote, I mean, isn't that self-evident? We lost. Obviously, in retrospect, we should have done something different. The likelihood is the odds were pretty stacked against us no matter what. But clearly people were looking for change, and neither Biden nor Harris were going to be able to offer real message of change. That means that Chris Murphy had no insight. He had no foresight. He was just towing the party line, which means he is not independent. He is not independent of thought. He's not a thoughtful person. He is not honest with the American people, and he can't. He will never be. Because this was about the party. In his view, this wasn't about his constituents. It wasn't even about the electorate. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with stopping Donald Trump and dragging Joe Biden across the finish line, which apparently he knows. Again, he's always known that Joe Biden couldn't do the job. This doesn't answer a thing. It begs more questions. What did you know and when did you know it? You told us in your own words. You worked with this man. You were close to him. Hell, let me see. Do I have this? Yeah, here he is. Look at that. He was touting this very picture of him sitting with Joe Biden at the White House. There's the evidence right there, right in front of you. Chris Murphy was posting pictures everywhere. Look at me and the president. So you were right there. You worked with him, and you told everybody else that he was okay. How can we trust you? You have to explain that. How can anybody trust you? People say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now. Explain to me how. Credibility doesn't matter? I'm going to tell you this. Try this on for size. And I'm going to shock the system of leftists, those in my chat room and those who are listening to me right now. I think it was a guy by the name of Mike who called up here before the election and said, I can't believe that African Americans would trust Donald Trump to be president of the United States because he wouldn't let African Americans live in his apartment buildings in the 1970s. Or that he put out a full-page ad in the New York Times against the Central Park Five. Things that happened 30 and 40 and close to 50 years ago. I can't believe you would trust him. Chris Murphy lied about the president of the United States up until 6 months ago. If we're holding people accountable for their deeds, if we can hold them accountable for 4 decades, 6 months ago is a cakewalk. It's a cakewalk. He has a recent record of deceiving, a proven record of deceiving. And I only grabbed, 7 pieces of audio that prove that he lied? And he's the 2028 contender? What's it going to take? Look, Connecticut, I know you're going to support the guy. I know you can't. You would think nothing other than to support him. But while you're running around telling everybody else about what it means when they vote for Trump or when they stand behind Trump, when you're telling everybody else about what kind of people they are, how dare you support that guy? You must be a bigot. You must be a racist. You must be a liar. You must be a deceitful liar if you support this guy. He's worse than that. He's an elder abuser. Because if he was his friend, if he cared about him, he would have told him, you're not doing well, sir. And for the betterment of the country, you've got to step down. You would have joined everybody else who said that what was happening to him was wrong. Be it his son, his wife, his aides, his press secretary, Barack Obama, all of them. Everybody said, get him off the stage. And even when we caught them doing it, they said it was nothing there. Nothing was wrong. You're all a bunch of liars. Chris Murphy, you lead the pack. You lead the pack, and we've got you dead to rights, and you know it. And anybody who says that this guy's a shoo-in, anyone who suggests that his polling numbers are going to go above 1% after this, one of the biggest scandals in presidential history, anyone who believes that, get your head examined. You may be about as off the reservation as Joe Biden was for his entire presidency. The problem is you. We'll take your phone calls. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Tell me what you think. Does this help or hurt Chris Murphy being the first one out the gate to say that Joe Biden was in cognitive decline, apparently through his presidency? We'll see you on the other end of it. It's Reese on the Radio, NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Governor Lamont and lawmakers, Connecticut's health is on the line. World-class care, a compassionate workforce, and life-saving treatments are at risk. Raising taxes and cutting hospital payments would make care less affordable and less accessible. Help protect healthcare. Support Medicaid rates that cover the cost of care. Don't balance the state budget on the backs of patients. Learn more at cthosp.org.
Paid for by the Connecticut Hospital Association.
Brian Shackman here for QC Kinetics. If you haven't heard about it, if you have pain, whether it's back, knee, hips, or whatever, and you haven't done anything about it, you might want to give QC Kinetics a call because they have changed the lives of thousands of people with their regenerative cell therapy. It's really unbelievable. It's actually so busy here in Connecticut. They opened up a third office. They have Avon, New Haven, and Glastonbury. And you can do this, feel long-term relief without surgery, without drugs, and without downtime. It's incredible. And even on top of that, the first consultation is totally free. So if you finally feel the need to do something, which you should, you can put your toes in the water without committing. Then you learn what's best for you. Then you go ahead and do what's best for you. Give them a call, 860-440-PAIN. Again, it's 860-440-PAIN. It's QC Kinetics. They have offices in Avon, New Haven, and Glastonbury. And if you're sitting there with joint pain, whether it's through arthritis or injury, and you're sick and tired of it, but you haven't made that step, take that step today. 860-440-PAIN. Again, it's QC Kinetics, Avon, New Haven, and Glastonbury. 860-440-PAIN.
Do something which you should.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
And now, a WTIC news update.
71 degrees at 3:30. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. A hazmat situation is unfolding in the town of Canaan. Officials say hundreds at a medical technology company are being decontaminated after a suspicious package was found today at the Becton-Dickinson facility. 2 people were hospitalized as a precaution. 4 men are under arrest after Waterbury police say they assaulted a female victim this morning. Police say the victim ran out of a home in the area of Chapman Avenue, flagged down a school bus driver who then called the police. All 4 suspects are facing assault and breach of peace charges. Nurses picketing outside Bacchus Hospital in Norwich. They issued what they are calling a code red. They say turnover is high, patient care is deteriorating, and they're burned out. Talks between the union and parent company Hartford Healthcare will resume this evening. Meantime, the Pratt & Whitney machinist strike continues. Both sides, both at East Hartford and Middletown, they've been off the job nearly 2 weeks in a dispute over wages, retirement, and health care issues. U.S. Departments of Transportation and the state DOT are in agreement on a deal that will speed up some 90 projects around our state. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says they cut red tape that's been in the way to get the projects rolling. And President Trump says the U.S. and Iran have sort of agreed on terms on a nuclear deal. The president, continuing his trip through the Middle East, describes the talks between his diplomatic envoy and Iran's foreign minister as very serious negotiations for long-term peace. WTIC News Time, 3:31. Here's the forecast.
Cloudy with a couple of showers for the rest of our Thursday afternoon, a high of 74. Overcast and remaining warm tonight, the low only down to 63. For Friday, still cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, so you may want to take an umbrella just in case, but warmer, the high jumping up to 81 Friday to round out the week. A thunderstorm Friday evening, otherwise Saturday, mostly cloudy, a thunderstorm again. Those could produce flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts, the high 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Wall Street, the Dow up 260 points, the NASDAQ down 96. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about your thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
You know how you always want to know about everyone else's money? On the podcast What We Spend, guests will, for 1 week, tell us everything they spend their money on.
My son slammed $6 worth of blueberries in 5 minutes.
And everything that makes them feel.
I want to own a house. I want to have a child. But this morning, I really wanted a coffee.
Because at the end of the day, money is always about more than your balance. Listen to and follow What We Spend, an Odyssey original podcast. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
So, you want to buy a house. You could go online, do your research, find the dream listing, go see it, and get catfished. Back to the drawing board. More scheduling, more viewings, more. This doesn't even look like the photos. You could finally find one that does match the photos. Then comes the offer. Stress rush? Yep, make that 3. And here's the paperwork. Yep, never-ending paperwork. It's a lot. But you don't have to do it alone. Because there's an agent who's a realtor here to guide and help protect you as you find the home that's right for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. Right by you.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
By Hers is not available everywhere, actually. Plan purchase. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, clinical study information, and restrictions, visit forhers.com.
Everyone's talking about the breakthrough of weight loss medications, but too few can access or afford them. Hers is changing that by offering access to Wegovy GLP-1 treatment through their platform. 50% off retail price. Wegovy is FDA approved for weight loss and can help you lose up to 20% of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise. All dosages of Wegovy are offered at the same price and are eligible for FSA and HSA reimbursement. At forhers.com/radio, treatments are prescribed 100% online. A medical provider on their platform will determine if a weight loss plan is right for you. And if prescribed, your plan ships free directly to your door. By getting access to Wegovy through Hers, you get so much more than just medication. You'll get support along your weight loss journey. See if Wegovy is right for you at forhers.com/radio. That's forhers.com/radio. FORHERS.com/radio.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
Now, you know, it's Thursday. It's Thursday, so you know what that means. And I have to say this. As much criticism as I got for Thursday's show, I tell you all the time, trust your friendly neighborhood Reese on the Radio. Because my very limited African-American audience that comes to check out the show, many of them are too busy, snapping their fingers and shaking their tail feathers to hip-hop and R&B, listening to Bang Bang Shoot 'em Up, Negro Die Slow music. But Thursday comes around, just so they could critique Reese on the Radio. They show up for the one portion of the show that drives them crazy. Remember, they hate the fact that I do this on Thursday, but they show up every Thursday for it.
Negro nonsense. Negro nonsense. Negro nonsense.
That's right. They're here for it every week. It's like, again, injected with the addiction. That's all it is. It's like saying that you hate it when you know secretly deep down you love it. It's an addiction. It's an addiction you cannot control. But we'll get into that later. Roughly about the 5 o'clock hour. Also, I want to mention we do have a guest on the show today. We're going to be talking to Representative Gary Turco. You might remember him. I talked about him yesterday about some legislation that he has sponsored that we talked about. Actually, that John Vila talked about at the top of the hour news yesterday. This is the Connecticut House passing a bill to regulate social media use for kids. And I need to understand exactly what they're doing. We read the bill this morning. My wife and I went over it. My wife's much better at legalese than I am. It can be confusing. I bear that understanding that it can be kind of difficult to understand. So my wife, who studied to be a paralegal, can understand it way better than I am. So I give it to her so she can break it down to me, like in legal and layman's terms. And she's really, really good at that. So we'll talk to him much later in the day. As promised, to the phones we go. 860-522-WTIC. Rob is in New Britain. How are you, Rob?
Good. The rhythm, the rebel. Reese and rolling the beer.
What's going on, buddy?
I love you guys.
Thank you.
Well, I before I tell you anything, I wanted to call in April because of April Fools, and you shared a story.
Yes.
My mother shared a story about my father. He was a truck driver in Plainville for White Oak Construction Company, drove the big rig. Called his best friend at 4 a.m. before work, told him he got arrested and would he come bail him out. So his buddy got all dressed and got ready to go. And then my father called him back 10 minutes later and said, "Hey, April Fools."
Well, at least he didn't get all the way down to the precinct, because that would have been,
Exactly.
that would have been harrowing.
Exactly.
So what do you got?
I love how you...
Yeah, that was,
would
trust me, it was
never
cruel.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, you bring it, because about West Hartford, everything, the media won't touch everything. I just love how you bring it. Don't be afraid. Keep doing it.
You got it.
And as far as Murphy, I've never voted for him. I never will. And it just shows you, rewind the tape and play it again and again and again.
Indeed.
Until your mind is locked in.
Indeed.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you, sir. Let's go to
Love you guys.
Thank you. Let's go to Bruce is in South Windsor. How are you, Bruce?
Hey, Reese, good. I got on today just as it's funny. I got a little notification, I think, from Facebook that you were waiting for me. So I jumped in the car and I got on the call and you were talking about the Murphy thing.
Yeah.
And I agree with everything you said. But then I was thinking about it. I said, he can't be that stupid. He knows better. Because had he talked Biden into stepping down, who would we have gotten? That cackling hyena Harris.
Not particularly, though. Hold on. What I'm saying is that Chris Murphy could have been. I mean, I'm looking at this. If I'm going to play fair, right? I'll play fair for just this argument. Let's say Chris Murphy falls on his sword for the Democrat Party and says, "Listen, sir, you served your country great. You vanquished Donald Trump, but it's time for you to go. Let's get out early and we have a primary, and Kamala Harris isn't the candidate. Perhaps someone else is primaried in. You never know if they're smart, right? You may get somebody. You may get somebody in the wings that is far more. You could have got Josh Shapiro. At a time where Democrats would have been forced to make a decision about how they feel about Jewish candidates. You could have got Bernie Sanders back in the fold. Anything could have happened, but they would not. Look, Kamala Harris was two things. One, she was a DEI hire. Thank you, Jim Clyburn, because he was the one who admitted it. He admitted it, that she was, that the Congressional Black Caucus said, if it's not Kamala Harris, it's nobody. So they forced her to do that. No one would have forced anything, and Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi could have got somebody in like Mark Kelly. And there's a likelihood that they could have won. But Chris Murphy, even if they had lost, by 2028, he could say, when everyone asked about Joe Biden's decline, he could stand outside as an outsider and say, I was the one who told the president early that he should step down because I had to be honest with the American people. He'd be a winner.
I see. That might have worked in his favor. Well, I'm glad he didn't do it. I like the strategy they used, and it worked out in our favor.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you, buddy. And again, look, it's bottom line. What Democrats have done over and over and over again. And I'm, even though I'm reading all of these comments in the chat room, especially those who want to make this about Trump. Well, Trump lies all the time. Trump lied about this. Trump lied about that. Okay, clearly you have a problem with lies. Clearly you do. So why are you not in the chat room talking about Chris Murphy's lies? Are you suggesting that Chris Murphy's lies are acceptable because Donald Trump lies all the time? So you don't have a problem with lies. You have a problem with whom lies. You see, Chris Murphy, and anybody else for that matter, is allowed to lie as a politician. They cannot be culpable. They cannot be responsible for what they say and what they do because of Donald Trump. That gives them cover. What about Donald Trump? That's all. And I wish you would just say that. But you can't. Instead of addressing the topic, instead of addressing what I've said about Chris Murphy and all of the evidence I just gave you that he lied while wanting to be your commander-in-chief, it is just about but Trump. Which means, again, and I reiterate it, and I stand by it 100%, and it is codified through your statements. You are Chris Murphy. You are the Democrat Party. You have no scruples, you have no integrity, and you stand on all 10 toes behind that. No one should trust you. You don't think that you should have to have integrity. You don't think that you have to be better. You don't think that you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. As long as Donald Trump is Hitler, you might as well be Hitler. If Donald Trump is Hitler, do you get to be Stalin? If Donald Trump is Hitler, do you get to be Lenin? If Donald Trump is a murderous, thieving, the evil piece of garbage, do you get to be a murdering, evil piece of garbage? If Donald Trump is a dictator, do you now get to be a dictator? Does anybody get to be? Because remember, Donald Trump's going to leave in 2028. And the next guy that goes in office, should he be a Democrat? You were saying that they can do whatever you said Trump was doing and not have a problem with it, even if it affects you. This is exactly what. First of all, not all politicians lie. You obviously don't know the definition of all. Donald, please explain to yourself, if you have a simple grasp of the English language, all means every. You have no evidence to support that all politicians lie. You have none. No evidence to support it at all. You see what I did there? You have no evidence to support that all and every lie. None. That's the bottom line. And Bob, no one said that you were absolving Democrats. Do you want me to read your comments? I'd be happy to. When Democrats say this stuff about but Trump and Trump did this and Trump did that, while I'm laying out a conversation about Chris Murphy's the senator of the great state of Connecticut. Donald Trump isn't the senator or the governor of Connecticut. He's the person that you represent, clearly, and you're not holding him to any account. Your excuse for Chris Murphy's lies is Donald Trump lies. Or as Donald put it, all politicians lie. So therefore, you have no standards. You have no scruples. You have no integrity. That has nothing to, and I'll lay it out for you. It only says everything about you. That's what it says. It doesn't say anything about me. I know who liars are. I spent my entire life as a liar. I've got the ex-wives to prove it. See, the difference between myself and a Chris Murphy and plenty of politicians is that at least I can sit up here and tell you, yes, I was a liar. I make it my business to tell the truth today. Because if I'm going to hold them to a standard, I've got to be better. I can't sit here and lie to you and then scrutinize their lies. See, that's the difference between you and me. I'm not excusing their lies. I'm not putting it on another person in order for them to get a pass about their lies. So you say more about yourself than you are about Donald Trump. You say more about yourself than you are about Chris Murphy. Because the only thing you're telling the rest of us is that Chris Murphy should be allowed to lie because everybody does it. Well, how low does that standard get? A lot of people murder, too. A lot of people rob and steal, too. A lot of people maim and kill. A lot of people maim and harm. A lot of people do that, too. At some point, you lower your standards so much, you're in the gutter. So if it's such a problem for you that people lie, it should be a problem to you that Chris Murphy did. That's all. Have a spine. But please, spare me with the nonsense. Don't even bore me with it. What Chris Murphy did was wrong, and now he's trying to redeem himself for it. And that's not going to fly because his comments are there. My wife said it yesterday. Do these people not know they're being recorded? They know. But they can thank Bob and Donald. You know why? Because as much as these people lie, they know that there are defenders out there who are going to give them a pass and blame it on Trump. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. Your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Men, is good enough really what you want with your sex life? This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health. And if erectile dysfunction is making for a bad bedroom experience for you and your partner, you should call us because you want your intimacy to be fantastic, both for you and for the one you love. At Northeast Men's Health, our treatments have success rates of well over 90%. And because we're a medical practice focused on men's sexual health, we can offer many treatment options and even combine treatments to find the right one for you. Which means if you're like most of our patients, we can likely get you performing like you haven't in years. You can even last up to an hour or more and make sex great again. So make an appointment and make a change from good enough to really good. For just $99, you'll get a medical consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. That's 800-930-5956. Or go to northeastmenshealth.com. That's northeastmenshealth.com. We have 5 offices across the Northeast to serve you. Northeast Men's Health, a Promedic restorative health practice.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try ZipIntro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipIntro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything from online to hybrid courses and lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities. Education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
It's Reese on the Radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Yeah, as I said in the 4 o'clock hour, we've got representative out of Newington, Representative Gary Turco. Oh, God, somebody else on my mind. Gary Turco is going to be joining us here to talk about this new House bill that passed to regulate social media for kids. And it was a little confusing to read through it. I tried to read through it. For some odd reason, I was getting lost. My wife was helping me with it, and she explained it. But there are still some things that I'm not exactly getting. So I'm hoping that the representative will explain it to me. He's one of the sponsors, if not the co-author of this legislation. Because, well, you know what? We'll get to the questions when we get there. If you've heard the story, go look it up. It's actually in the Connecticut Mirror if you want to see exactly what the bill is asking asking social media companies to do. But we'll get into that for a little bit. We'll talk to them about 15 to 20 minutes. Let's get back to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Let's go to Roger in Terryville. How are you, Roger?
Good. President Biden sent his personal envoy, our senator from Connecticut, Mr. Murphy, to the Ukraine. I would love to know what that business was about when Biden sent Murphy to Ukraine to do his dirty work. And obviously, Mr. Murphy had personal contacts with Mr. Biden at that time and knew whether he was cognitive or not.
Well, you remember, Roger, there was that meeting before the famous or infamous Oval Office back and forth between Volodymyr Zelensky and J.D. Vance and the president. Before that happened, there was a bipartisan breakfast with Zelensky, where afterwards Chris Murphy tweeted that he met with Zelensky, expressing to him not to take anything, off the table in his meetings with the president, which in essence was saying that he was under the impression, I guess through his tweet, was that Zelensky was not going to go in there and make a deal and that he was going to give some pushback towards the president. And Murphy was pretty much setting it up that way in the press by saying, I just had a meeting with Zelensky, and Zelensky says, he's not just taking anything that he's given, he's going to push back. And I thought that was interesting that he was undercutting that meeting by putting out that tweet. A lot of people made mention of it, saying, what the heck was Murphy doing in undercutting that meeting? Which, again, lends to your point about his constant dealings in Ukraine.
And we know what Biden and Ukraine was all about.
Indeed.
Was Murphy a carrier on the way home with 10,000 money, whatever? Was he a courier for him on the way back? And why did he pick Murphy? Of all the people to pick, you would pick Murphy, some fly-by-night senator from Connecticut?
Exactly. And maybe that's part of the thing, Roger. It is because Chris Murphy is, in essence, kind of as a senator even, he's kind of like in the weeds. He's like unnoticeable, right? He's only brought attention to himself in the last year or so. But other than that, Chris Murphy has been kind of in the background as a senator, not a major player. So you're 100% right. In that case, he could sort of use Chris Murphy in plain sight, right? Under the cover of darkness while in plain sight at the same time. So, maybe there is some truth to that, but we'll never know. Maybe something will pop up, but who knows? Thank you, Roger. I appreciate you, sir. Like I said, when we get back, we're going to have Representative Gary Turco on the show in a little bit. We've got Negro Nonsense coming up, and this story is actually pretty harrowing, and it's a sad state of affairs. Let's get to that weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher, who's back in the BPS Traffic Center. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much, Reese. Good afternoon. Well, if you're heading 91 southbound into Hartford, delays 34 down to 32 A and B, slow, and again down by exit 27 and 28 in Hartford. Northbound side of 91 is just a little slow now as you move up on exit 20 Country Club Road in Middletown. 91 southbound a little tight in Meriden, 19 down to 17. Westbound 84 slowing 56 Governor Street out to 47 Sigourney, 84 eastbound locked up, 44 Prospect Oakwood down into the tunnel. 2 westbound tight in East Hartford, 1D up to the 84 West merge. 9 northbound Middletown slowing Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. 9 northbound slowing from exit 34 up to exit 35 in New Britain. Southbound 9 is slowing from 35 down to 33 in Berlin. If you're traveling Route 8 southbound in Naugatuck, we have an accident. 3-vehicle accident reported between exit 26 and 25B. The highway reportedly shut down at exit 26 now. 84 eastbound, an accident reported by 18 in Waterbury. Delays back to 16 behind that. And southbound 91, slowing 3 in toward the 95 interchange. Southbound Parkway delays 61 down into the West Rock Tunnel. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
For the rest of our Thursday afternoon, it remains cloudy with a couple of showers. Pleasant temps, though, the high 74. Overcast and remaining warm tonight, the low down to 63. Now Friday, still cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, so you may want to take an umbrella just in case. Otherwise warmer, the high up to 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening, then Saturday, mostly cloudy. Could be some strong storms around that produce flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts, the high 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
4 o'clock, Hartford temperature 72 degrees. Good afternoon, I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. Hundreds of workers are being decontaminated as a precaution in North Canaan. That's after the Becton Dickinson Company reported a suspicious package today. There's an ongoing hazmat response, which includes state emergency management officials and the FBI. James Fowler is a spokesperson for the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection.
2 individuals have been transported to a nearby hospital as a precaution. Approximately 300 to 350 at the facility are undergoing decontamination process as a precautionary measure.
No one was reported injured. Becton Dickinson is a medical technology company. The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments stemming from President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. The administration says judges' rulings temporarily banning the order should only apply to the states those decisions were made in.
The Trump administration is arguing that they don't under the Constitution, that one federal judge can't dictate national policy. But the people who are challenging birthright citizenship say that is ridiculous because this is the exact kind of case where you need to have a nationwide ruling. It's a national issue. You're going to have people in different states having different rules for U.S. citizenship.
State Attorney General William Tong was in Washington today for the arguments. He says the Trump administration is trying to rewrite the Constitution on the fly.
It's as if another president was elected and the very first day said, you know what? I don't care what the Second Amendment says. Doesn't matter. No American can possess firearms. Can you imagine if another president tried to do that? People would lose their minds.
4 men are under arrest after Waterbury police say they assaulted a woman in a home in the area of Chapman Avenue early this morning. According to police, the 38-year-old victim was able to escape the suspects and flagged down a school bus driver in the area who then called police. Keith Brady lives nearby.
Next thing you know, we saw the cops, and the bus was right in front of the house.
Audio from WFSB. Now, the suspects, all Waterbury residents, are facing assault and breach of peace charges. The victim sustained non-life-threatening injuries and was treated at an area hospital. Police say it appears the parties knew one another and that the assault stemmed from some type of dispute. The mother of a boy who was allegedly planning a school shooting in San Antonio, Texas, is now facing terrorism charges herself. City Police Chief William McManus.
The mother assisted him in buying that tactical gear for him and bought ammunition, provided him with magazines and ammunition to load those magazines up.
Not clear if the boy brought the gear to school. He was detained off campus. Considered a first-of-its-kind agreement, the U.S. and Connecticut Departments of Transportation have reached a deal to speed up dozens of road projects around here. Here's WTIC's Morgan Cunningham.
At a time there's been a lot of friction between Connecticut and Washington, D.C., there's been a major transportation agreement reached that streamlines environmental reviews and cuts other governmental red tape, according to State Transportation Commissioner Garrett Eucalito. The projects range from work on the Gold Star Memorial Bridge between New London and Groton to a bus rapid transit system in New Haven. It's believed that the agreement could fast-track at least 90 active projects by as many as 6 weeks each. Connecticut says that it's been working toward this kind of agreement with the federal government for several years, but efforts sped up in recent months under the new Trump administration. Morgan Cunningham, WTIC 1080 News.
Wall Street, the Dow up 271 points. The NASDAQ down 34 points. S&P up 24. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Coverage varies by plan, view contracts, and exclusions. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for coverage. And so call now for your free quote. Call 800-253-6203. 800-253-6203. 800-253-6203.
It's Reese on the Radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Plenty of news and plenty of views to get into this hour. Like I said, we're going to have Representative, or at least I'm going to double check that we're going to have Representative Gary Turco on the air. He represents Newington. We're going to see if we can get him. I'm going to, at least they tentatively said they were going to be here at 4:11, so I'm hoping. I haven't heard any word that they are not, and there has been no cancellation, so they should be here. You may have heard the story at the top of the hour news yesterday at 5 o'clock. John Villa had mentioned that the House had passed a bill to regulate social media use for kids. And according to this story, if I'm understanding it, it is to affect the algorithm on social media. For those of you who are in the know. So the objective is like, if I'm watching something online, I might watch a comedian that has a page, and if I stop and watch the entire video or a significant part of it, the algorithm will tell me or tell itself, hey, he likes this comedian. So as I'm scrolling, it will give me more of the content associated with that individual or like it. So that's how it works. And this, to a lot of politicians, is detrimental to children, scary to children, or scary to parents when it comes to their children. So I want to talk to the representative about that and what they plan on doing, because I'm reading what they're asking social media companies to do, and I'm concerned about how you get them to do that. There's also some comments that suggest, or at least some people are suggesting, that the social media companies may sue to push back on this legislation. We'll get into that, and we'll talk to Representative. Look like they're actually calling up now, getting on the line. So Roland is taking care of that. But if you want to look it up yourself and sort of read along as we have the conversation, it is House Bill 6857. Again, that is House Bill 6857, which would require social media sites that use personalized algorithms to suggest content to determine whether the user is a minor, and if they are a minor, to get consent from the child's parent or guardian. And sounds confusing, but only if you read the legislation. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. Representative Gary Turco is joining us in a little bit. All right, so let's get another check of our weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher, who's back in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Well, if you're southbound 91, delays 34 down to 32 A and B. Again, 27 down to 28. A little slow traffic again as you move down just after 20 down to 17 for the Wilbur Cross Parkway. Northbound on the 91, you're going to see some slow traffic now as you move between exit 16 and exit 18 through the construction area. After that, a good ride Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 tied up 56 Governor Street out to 46 Sisson Avenue. 84 eastbound is locked up 43 Park Road up to 48 Capitol Avenue. 2 westbound running slow in East Hartford from 1D up to the 84 West merge. 9 northbound Middletown slowing Harbor Park to the Aragoni Bridge. 9 northbound again slowing from 32 up to 34 in New Britain. Now, if you are traveling on the southbound side of Route 8 down in Naugatuck, we have an accident there between exit 26 and 25B. 3-vehicle accident. Right now, the highway is reportedly shut down
you're
at
reading
exit
my
26,
mind.
so look out for that. 84 eastbound is slowing in Southbury from just after exit 16 up to 18 in Waterbury. Westbound 84 in Newtown slows 11 to 10, again 9 to 7 in Danbury, and 84 eastbound slowing New York, Connecticut line in Danbury out to 5. More delays from exit 9 up to 11 in Newtown. Southbound Parkway, you're seeing delays now from exit 61 into the West Rock Tunnel. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
I got a couple of spotty showers around West Hartford and down toward New Britain and over toward Burlington and Torrington right now. And as we head through the rest of today, it'll be overcast and warm tonight. The low dropping down to 63. And then as we make our way through Friday, remaining cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon again, but warm, the high of 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening. Otherwise, it's going to be partly to mostly cloudy and remain mild overnight, the low 61. Mostly cloudy Saturday with a thunderstorm. Some of those could be packing a bit of a wallop, producing flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. The high 73 Saturday. Couple of showers Saturday evening. Then Sunday, partly sunny, breezy, a shower in spots, but a pleasant day. The high of 75. Right now, it's 71 in Danbury, 60 in Bridgeport, 65 in Waterbury, and 71 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about your thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
Don't let a root canal scare you. Columbia Dental's endodontic experts provide gentle and effective root canal therapy. Open 7 days a week. Call 860-645-0111 or visit columbiadental.com.
Being injured in an accident can leave you feeling vulnerable and lost. You need a fast and fair resolution and a law firm that can protect you. At Brown, Payne, Dearest & Scott, our team of personal injury lawyers have over 100 years of combined experience and will treat you with respect and dignity. If you've been injured, BPS lawyers are here to help. At BPS Lawyers, you get more than a lawyer. You get a full-service law firm. Call us at 860-CALL-BPS or visit bpslawyers.com. Bruce Newman is responsible for the content of this ad.
Seems everything costs more. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the Big Wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
We're back. It's Reese on the Radio, as the big voice just said. And we have on a guest. I don't like to do guests all the time, but when I hear a particular story and I'm interested in it, I like to immediately call up the office of that individual to get them on the air. So, and when I do, for me, I think it's great when I can get them to come on. Even if politically we don't agree, they're willing to come on. And I think that's a good thing to have these conversations. So welcome to the show, if you will, ladies and gentlemen, none other than Representative Gary Turco of Newington. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you for coming on. And
thank you so much, Reese, for having me.
My pleasure, sir. And under short notice, now I gotta prep you real quick. Are you familiar with the show at all, or is this your first time ever experiencing Reese on Radio?
No, this is a new one for me, Reese. But I'm very excited, and I'm hoping after this call can become a long time listener.
You know what? Let me tell you this. I've got a lot of problems with a lot of legislation. I believe that government sometimes is a little too interventionist in a lot of ways. And this was one of those things that I saw, which made me ask questions, but I didn't immediately dismiss it. I think that one of the biggest problems we have in our society today is the stuff that our children have access to. You know, that's been a huge debate everywhere. Even in this article written about you in the Connecticut Mirror, there was pushback about, this legislation versus library books and all that stuff. We'll get into that to some degree. But before we do, is there a way that you can explain this legislation in layman's terms? Because like I said, there's a lot of legalese, as I said, my wife read to me. What exactly is this legislation poised to do, or what is it supposed to do for parents, if not the social media companies?
Sure, no problem, Reese. Happy to do that. And I do admit, when you're dealing with legislation regarding technology, it could use some big, complicated words, because technology, with everything going on with artificial intelligence, can seem complicated for many of us who, are not in that field working in it every day. So, May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Okay.
And numerous studies, countless, unfortunately, tragic situations have shown that excessive use of social media by children, and you may be able to say that about adults, but
Sure.
We're talking about children here, can have some negative mental health consequences. So, we're talking about depression, body image concerns.
Sure.
There's even situations where young people have hurt themselves due to the addictive natures of these platforms that continuously feed kids more and more sensationalized content.
Right.
And why do they do that, Reese? Because the social media companies want people to be on the platforms for as long as possible.
Right.
And the way that young brains work, which, may not have the same self-control as an adult, it's clearly working, Reese. The average youth teen is on a social media platform 5 hours a day.
Wow. That's even more than we used to.
basically
Remember
what-
when we used to say that television, we had excess of 7 to 8 hours a day on the boob tube. So we are now seeing a comparable attention given towards social media. Now the kids don't watch TV. They just pretty much transferred to social media.
Yeah, we're not even counting, right? The additional time they may be watching Netflix, playing
Right.
a video game, or texting friends, right? We're talking about purely social media platforms, and that's an average of 5 hours a day. So what are these kids doing homework or spending time with their parents or going outside and, you know, getting exercise, right? There's not a lot more time between school and then, you know, infinite doom scrolling on these platforms. And here's the thing, these platforms have features in them that are designed that once you get on, it's a lot harder to get off. And, you know, I've learned this from reading a lot of studies, talking to behavioral, psychological, you know, doctors, watching documentaries, a lot of information out there. So what this bill is trying to say is, let's take the control out of the social media companies, right? These for-profit, giant international tech companies that don't necessarily care about children's health.
Right.
They care about profits.
Right.
Let's take the control out of them. Let's put it in the control of the parents.
Okay. Now let's
and
get
the way this bill does this.
right.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What does the bill do? Or here's a better question. How do you transfer that power from the social media to the parent? What can the parent do through this legislation to protect their children?
Yes. So what the bill says is that if an individual is a minor, that's somebody under 18, in order for the social media companies to be able to target them with content, and I heard you use the term before, you know, the personalized algorithm.
Yes.
That is basically data that's collected on the children and then used to help make the content more addictive for them, right? Keep feeding them stuff that you think they're going to want to keep scrolling and seeing. So in order to be able to do that at an infinite amount of time, the parent has to agree to that. Okay. The parent or legal guardian is going to have an opportunity to say, yes, I want this social media platform to be able to continue the targeting my kids, or no, I don't want them. We're taking control away from the company. We're putting in the parents, and there'll be default settings in the platform regarding the time frame, the number of hours of day, who can actually comment and share and connect with your children on these platforms as well. There'll be default settings to protect kids that the parents then could make more restrictive, or they can say, I'm going to just say no to these default settings. Let the platforms have at my kids. It will be up to the parents, which we think is going to be a good thing to help protect our children.
Now, don't get me wrong. So far, Representative Gary Turco, you haven't said anything wrong. And that's a good thing here, because I hear what you're saying. What you're asking is that we sort of child-proof these social media companies when their children are accessing them. Because, as a parent, you know, I remember giving the first cell phones to my kids, and they had to ask permission to join Facebook. They had to ask, and when they did, we had to know the passwords. You're now putting something extra on it that says when these kids download these social media apps on their phone or on their tablets or even on their computers, that the parents can go into what's considered the consent form, so to speak, and the parent can go through a list of things that say this is okay, this is not okay, this is all right, this is permissible, but it has to go through. But there's a problem here, just one problem that I find in all of this. It seems like these provisions or these prohibitions that the social medias will put in is a one-size-fits all, because don't we have to know which content the parent is asking the social media not to make accessible to their children? How do you combat that? Because there's so much different stuff. And here's what I mean by this. So let me clarify. There may be parents that are okay with their children seeing, things like Candelori is talking about, like books on genderqueer, books about, gender-affirming care. How does a parent navigate through that sort of consent form to say that this is okay and that isn't? Because the content is all over the place. There's no specificity in what that content is. Can you explain how we do that?
Sure. I mean, this bill doesn't speak to that specifically.
Okay.
There may be other technologies that parents can use to try to restrict type of content. We're restricting the targeting that happens based on the data that's collected from youth. And part of the reason that is, Reese, and I'm sure that, there are people that would want to do more to protect, minors from seeing pornography on a social media platform or, something really violent, right? That they shouldn't be exposed to. But there's First Amendment concerns. There's, concerns that certain censure of content will lead towards, legislation being struck down, in the court system because of constitutionality. So that makes it a little difficult. Some other states have tried to do some of those things, and there's litigation going on because of that. So the way, and our Attorney General has helped in really leading and drafting this legislation with a good group of bipartisan legislators. This bill had a really great group of Republicans that supported it with Democrats. It's really crafting it purposefully to say, hey, we're not trying to limit free speech on content. We are saying these companies cannot target our children based on the data they collect to them to make the content more and more sensationalized, to keep them addicted to the platform, doom scrolling instead of other things they should be doing to be a healthy, child, unless the parent wants to allow that. And that's where we're at right now with the legislation.
So it appears to me, Representative, that this is sort of a broad approach to a nuanced problem, because and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that it's a fair to say that if this legislation goes through, if I'm a social media business, I'm going to ask for some specificity on what you think is the wrong kind of targeting towards kids. Now, hear me out. A 17-year-old versus a 10-year-old, right? So what is the parent, what are you asking each individual? Are you asking each individual platform to adhere to one rule, or is this only going to open the floodgates to a bunch of nuanced things that parents are going to have to like? In other words, I'll put it to you this way. If I'm a parent and I'm giving my kids social media, if I'm looking through a litany of consent that I got to go, A through 20 or A through 90 different things I'm going to have to check off on whether or not my kid can go to it, most parents are going to say, this is too much, screw it. Because I feel like, again, at the end of the day, the parents are going to make a decision, if they know about the legislation, on whether or not they're going to do it. On the other hand, I don't feel like parents are very much involved in what their kids do when they download these social media sites. I think these kids do that on their own and then move on.
That's a great point, Reese. And that's why there's some level of age verification that the platform needs to do to ensure that this individual, if they are a minor, it requires that parental consent. The parents simply are going to have an option to say, keep the default settings or don't. So it could be very easy, especially for those hands-off parents that are not engaged, don't understand technology. The bill says it'd be very easy for them. And there's only right now 3 things in those default settings: that the platforms cannot target the minors with content that's based on that data they collect outside the hours from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., that they can only collect the data on the minor for the max 1 hour a day when using that portion of the platform, and that people who are not connected to the youth. So, for instance, I use Facebook. I have friends.
Right.
So basically, people who aren't friends with the child cannot, make comments and stuff like that.
Right. There must be now, I'm assuming
the default setting.
It's almost like a default setting that I have will ask me if I want to make my telephone contacts accessible on my Facebook page as friends, right? So it's not like just any old random, schmo. I totally get that. Okay, it's not awful. I kind of feel like, I'm gonna quote Candelaria here because he sort of feels as though there's a little bit of, for lack of a better word, hypocrisy, because while there's this, mayhem going on with libraries and content there, that they seem to be more concerned about what kids are doing in their private lives, but as far as school is concerned, they're allowing access to books that many parents don't have, a lot of agreement with. But that's a topic for another day. Do you think at some time, Representative Turco, that you could come back and we can have a few more conversations about this as the legislation goes through, because I think it's an important conversation. I'm not totally against it, but what I'm worried about to some degree is the level of pushback you'll get from social media companies and parents, for that matter, who you're asking to do a lot of work to shield their kids that normally they wouldn't. Would you be interested in coming back on as this legislation progresses?
I'd be happy to come back on. And this is an issue, Reese. As the technology develops, artificial intelligence develops,
Sure.
more and more of these platforms have more and more features. This is an area, as the vice chair of the General Law Committee, I see as someone who wants to protect the children here in Connecticut, we will have to, constantly be looking at and seeing where laws have to be updated, especially when, for-profit giant tech companies are not doing the things responsibly to keep our children safe on their own.
Absolutely. Look, I agree with you there, and it's one of the things that we talk about here on Reese on the Radio. Thank you. I appreciate you, Representative Gary Turco from Newington. We appreciate you having you on, and we will definitely have you back. I'll stay in touch with your communications director, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. Have
You're
a great
welcome.
day.
You're welcome. You too. All right, let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina with weather, and Mark Christopher's back with the BPS Traffic Center. Hey.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Southbound 91 coming into Hartford. You're looking at delays approaching 33 down to 32. Again, 27 down to 28. And another bump as you approach 19 to 17 as you move into Meriden. Northbound 91 overall doing very well. Cromwell through downtown up in Windsor. Westbound 84 tied up 56 Governor Street out to 45 Flatbush. 84 eastbound delays 44 Prospect Oakwood into the tunnel. 2 westbound slowing from exit 1D up to the 84 West merge. 2 eastbound is slowing off of I-84 out to exit 2B in East Hartford. If you're heading into Middletown, 9 northbound and southbound heavy approaching the Aragoni Bridge. Now, if you're traveling Route 8 southbound in Naugatuck, we have an accident, 3-vehicle accident between 26 and 25B. DOT reporting southbound 91. The highway is shut down at exit 26 because of that accident. Delays back to exit 30 in Waterbury. Traveling 84 eastbound into Waterbury, delays approaching 17 up to 18. Westbound 84 is a little slow as you move up on the Mixmaster. Heading into Hamden, southbound Parkway delays 61 to 60. Northbound Parkway slowing 59 in New Haven up to the West Rock Tunnel. 95 southbound delays 46 down to 43 in West Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
This traffic report is being brought to you by Stu Leonard's Farm Fresh Foods. This week at Stu Leonard's Farm Fresh Foods, direct from their Midwest ranchers, ground beef chuck. Fresh ground daily by their butchers, just $3.99 a pound. Plus, fresh juicy strawberries in a 2-pound package is only $6.99. Save $1.
WTIC weather.
Cloudy with a couple of showers for the rest of our Thursday afternoon, a high of 74. Overcast and remaining warm tonight, the low only down to 63. For Friday, still cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, so you may want to take an umbrella just in case, but warmer. The high jumping up to 81 Friday to round out the week. A thunderstorm Friday evening. Otherwise, Saturday, mostly cloudy. A thunderstorm again. Those could produce flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. The high 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
And now, a WTIC news update.
72 degrees at 4:30. I'm John Silva. 4 men are under arrest after Waterbury police say they assaulted a woman this morning. Police say the five that is, knew each other. The attack all part of a personal dispute. The victim was able to escape a Chapman Avenue home and flag down a school bus driver and then called police. Nurses at Bacchus Hospital have been picketing in Norwich. They say turnover is high. They're burned out as conditions for patients deteriorate. They've been working without a contract. The hospital's president expressed disappointment in the job action, but says they look forward to continuing the talks. Hundreds of people at a North Canaan facility are undergoing hazmat decontamination. A suspicious package found at the Becton Dickinson facility earlier today. Supreme Court heard arguments in the case of birthright citizenship. The Trump administration looking to end the practice. The justices are considering whether 3 lower court judges had broad powers in putting a halt to the administration's plans. Russia and Ukraine holding peace talks, but the Russian president decided not to show up, and Ukraine President Zelensky in Turkey for that gathering.
City of West Haven is out from under financial oversight of the state. The Municipal Accountability Review Board, MARB, made the decision today. Deficits and stolen COVID money led to that takeover. On Wall Street, the Dow finished up 271 points. The NASDAQ was down 34. The S&P up 24. Baseball locals idled tonight. Red Sox open a series tomorrow night at home against Atlanta. 6:10 with the pregame here. Tonight's Eastern League action has the Yard Goats hosting Binghamton. First pitch 7 p.m. or 7:10 on the Odyssey app. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Father's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Matt, you're just moving in with me for Roseanne. Don't think I don't know better.
A huge banner with the grad's picture.
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for dads and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Here's a few questions for you.
Take us up.
Do your workdays seem to go on forever? Is your career progression as fast as downtown traffic? Or does your boss still not know your name?
Hey, you, Tina, Lisa, Sheila, whatever. Get that report to me by lunch, okay? It's Carrie, ma'am. Just get it done, Terry.
It's time to read the career warning signs and talk to California psychics. We're always on hand to give you the career guidance you need. You see, we only connect you with the very best. In fact, 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us don't make the grade. That's why we can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. So you could soon be telling your boss where to stick that report.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
Terry!
Experience the joy of certainty. California
What'd you say?
psychics.
Yeah.
100 Predict. Today,
I don't know what
you
I
can get
missed.
20 minutes for just $20.
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the Radio, on News Talk 1080, WTIC.
I was supposed to take that picture down, but of course I forgot to do it because I'm over here doing so much and not paying attention. Not paying attention, but I got a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm doing. It is Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC, and yeah, we have time.
Negro nonsense. Negro nonsense. Negro nonsense.
I'm looking for this picture because I want everybody to see it on the screen if you're watching at reasonoradio.com. And usually when I do Negro nonsense, it is done very tongue-in-cheek. At the same time, it's thoughtful when I do it. People get upset about it all the time, and I understand that because there are some people who do not wish to be scrutinized or to be held to account and responsibility. But I want to make sure that I pay attention to this, and I want you to pay attention to it as well. You might remember that Sunny Houston was talking about how she was concerned about the LGBTQ community when it came to the new Pope. But then when she found out that the Pope had Haitian heritage, she was celebrating that the Pope was black. To hell with LGBTQ. No more concerns. The importance was he's black. They were all celebrating it, and they were applauding it. Well, the picture of this woman over to my right is a 41-year-old woman, mother of two. 40-year-old woman, mother of two. Her name is Larisha Thompson, and she's been murdered. In custody are 6 illegal aliens. 6 illegal aliens. 3 of which are minors as young as 13. This is a black woman murdered by 6 illegals who are in custody. No mention. I can understand no one in Black Lives Matter would care about Lake and Riley. But this black woman is the mother of 2, and not one person from the so-called Black Lives Matter movement ever made mention of it. Didn't even post it, and I looked. No one stood up for her. No one in the black community at all. They ignored her death. Why? Because it would be a shame if they condemned illegals who murdered her. Now, if there's ever any Negro nonsense, that's it. They ignored that woman's death. And the fact that her 2 young children do not have a mother today. I just figured I'd bring that up. It's not all fun and games. A lot of it is real. And that's the reason why we do Negro nonsense here, because it is nonsense. Sometimes it costs people lives. Might want to consider that when you're critiquing Reese on the Radio about it. God rest that poor woman's soul. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. Jason Caterina's got weather, and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon, everyone. And if you are traveling on the southbound side of I-91 right now, look for some slow traffic in Hartford from exit 33 down to 32 A and B, and again 27 down to 28. And now we've got an accident in Cromwell. And this is 91 southbound between 22N and 21. Left lane blocked there, stay to the right. With that, northbound 91 overall looks pretty good. Cromwell up into Windsor. Westbound 84 tied up 56 Governor Street out to 45 Flatbush Avenue. 84 eastbound slowing 44 Prospect Oakwood into the tunnel. A little slow again 50 up to 59 in the 384 interchange. 2 westbound tied up 1D up to the 84 West merge in East Hartford. 2 eastbound slow coming off of I-84 out to exit 3 in East Hartford. Now, if you are heading into Middletown, 9 northbound delays Harbor Park up to the Aragoni Bridge. Heading 84 eastbound in Waterbury, you got delays from Southbury, exit 16 up to exit 18 in Waterbury. Westbound 84 is a little tight by 26 in Cheshire. 84 eastbound also tight by 26 down to the 691 in Cheshire. And interchange, that is. And if you're heading Route 8 southbound, look out for a crash now in Naugatuck. The crash happened between exit 26 and 25B. 3 vehicles reported there. Route 8 southbound shut down by exit 26. You've got delays kicking back to exit 30 in Waterbury. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Well, still a couple of spotty showers out there on the radar just west and northwest of Hartford and around Burlington right now. So just a heads up that those showers are out there currently. Now, as we head through later tonight, overcast and warm, the low down to 63. Still cloudy with a thunderstorm in parts for the afternoon on Friday. A warm day with a high of 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening, the low down to 61. Then Saturday, mostly cloudy, a thunderstorm around. Those could be on the stronger side, producing flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. The high 73. Couple of showers Saturday evening. Then Sunday, partly sunny, breezy, a shower in spots, but pleasant temps with the high of 75. Right now, it's 62 in New London, 67 in New Haven, 70 in Mansfield, and 71 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Join us this Sunday for Tumalo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father-son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumalo Financial, retirement planning with integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
At Ayala Home Services, we handle hundreds of water heater issues a year. We know how much of an inconvenience no hot water is, and with our fully stocked trucks and warehouse, you can get your hot water back as soon as the same day. Contact the trusted professionals at ALO Home Services when you call, click, or text today and say, "Hello, ALO." Call for details. Licensed for safety. P102776688, E10401465, E11856443, S33086999, HIC 628926, SM3004646, HOD 635, HOD 223.
Did you hear? A recent dollar gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 Gold Liberty coins dated from the 80s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
The self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We'll get to the phones in a second. Stand by for that. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. I got this note. It said, well, a couple of days ago, it says, no homeschooling bill this session, Dems say. So apparently there is going to be no homeschooling bill this session. It's being pushed back again. So I just want to applaud all of the families of homeschool kids who went out there to protest. I mean, talk about pushing back, getting people to rethink this bill. I knew it would happen. I said it. I said, you know, it didn't go happen in 2019, and there was going to be a considerable pushback. Not only that, the reasoning for it didn't hold any water whatsoever because of the case with the young man S and being held captive for 20 years. To even link that story to homeschooling was disingenuous. And I'm so happy that parents of all stripes, this wasn't a political thing. This was a principle thing. And those families came out in droves to see, what was it, some 2,100 people get out there, 2,500 people get out there and protest this thing in solidarity. It was incredible to watch. And I will say this before I get to the phones. This is an important thing to note. That look on the opposite side of this, if you will. Remember why Dick Blumenthal, Chris Murphy, Ned Lamont, Delora, every one of them, why are they having these rallies outside of City Hall and down in Washington and all over the country? Even if they're being paid, it's to give the impression that people are outraged, right? It is the optics that make a point. Think about that on the opposite side with this homeschooling issue. What did you see? An authentic, grassroots effort by parents who are directly impacted by this legislation, going down to the school, going down to City Hall and voicing their concerns organically. And people had to think about it. Now, and I know that, look, there isn't a lot of organization within the Republican Party in Connecticut, but I need you to pay attention to that because there are people that are saying, what can you do? These homeschooling parents are an example. You don't have to do it the way that they're doing it with the crowds on demand. If there is truly a resistance, if you will, to these policies and you want to fight them, as much as I love working here at WTIC and I appreciate your phone calls, but it ain't enough anymore. Now it's got to be handled differently. It's got to be front and center. Your butts have to be outside in the cold some days, in the rain some days, and have a physical presence to let these people know that you cannot have them legislate against your behalf. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And look, it's not so much about fighting fire with fire. But these parents, what they did has to be commended. And it carried weight. You all know it did. So, with that, I just wanted to commend them. Let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Fulton is in Waterbury. How you doing, Fulton? Gosh, you were loud.
What's up today, buddy?
What's up, man?
All right. I got two things today. I got the homeschooling thing. There's a story that just broke in New Jersey, very eerily similar. Like two parents held a kid 7 years. But I don't know if that's going to be their storyline to break homeschooling, but that just came out today in New Jersey.
Okay.
And then I wanted to say, I'm kind of afraid, like what Tim and Hammond said and Chris Murphy about the cheating in the election.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we won't believe them. They've cheated in the last 3 elections. I agree with them. I think the Democrats will cheat in the next.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. You're right on point.
I don't know if that's what you were saying. If Tim was afraid that they were going to cheat again and wound up attacking his health still, so probably going to stuff out. I think. I don't know. Just get the last time.
You know what? It's such a good point because, when we hear this thing about cheating in the election, people forget about the email scandal where we find out through John Podesta's emails that they were hog-tying the entire Bernie Sanders campaign and they were feeding Hillary Clinton questions. A lot of cheating was going on.
Every voter weird thing has been a Democrat thing. Like now there's one in Texas. It's sideways. Like, I don't know. More stuffing in Texas. What's going on here? It's all Democrats, never Republicans.
Yeah.
So what is he worried about? What is Chris Murphy worried about?
Exactly. Good point. Thank you, Fulton. He's got to get, I know he's calling in the car, but I almost feel like he's in either an airplane or on a motorcycle. But I wanted to make sure he's good. Tom is in Watertown. How are you, sir?
What's up, Reese? Hey, well, first off that last caller, remember, it's always been the case. Whatever the Democrats are accusing others of, they've been doing it.
Damn right.
So, hey, but something I've been pondering the last couple of days. I heard it on this radio station. I heard it on the news.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've heard it, is the Connecticut Food Bank is hurting. It's hurting, and they need money. They need food, and they're blaming it on the tariffs. They're blaming it on this, that, and the other thing. Well, I got a question about that. Because we are a sanctuary state, what percentage of the people who are using the food bank, I'd love to find this out, what percentage of people who are using the food bank food are not legal citizens of this country and are here in recent times, and they're being fed off of the food? They're claiming the food bank's hurting when maybe it's not really hurting because it's not going to the right people.
It's a great point. And, when I heard that story, and thank you for reminding me, because I forgot to contact who I consider the person who's got their fingers on the pulse of that whole problem, food insecurity, and that's Karen Thomas of Friendly Hands Food Bank. That woman has never been shy about saying, and I've called her and I said, hey, tell me what's going on. Tell me what you need. And she is talking right now. She's ready to move into a new facility. Not that I'm saying the story is false, but I think you bring up a great point because
I'm not saying it's false at all. I'm just curious, what percentage of the food is actually going to people who are legal residents in the state of Connecticut and who are not?
But Tom, I'll go one step further. We found out earlier in the year that the state spent $1.3 billion on these folks. Okay. I'm sure it wasn't for furniture at Ashley's or Bob's, right? I'm pretty sure that money was going to food and housing. So it would be, if it's true that the people who are depleting the services, if you will, at the food bank, then it would say that the problem is that either they're double dipping, that would be one, or two, the money isn't going where they're telling us that it's going. That it's going to places like NGOs and paying for salaries. So you're absolutely right that, you bring, what, it opens up a can of worms, and now I have to go down that rabbit hole. So thank you, Tom.
Sorry about that, buddy.
No, trust me, I appreciate it. It's worth it.
Every time the story came up, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, is it really depleted, or are we shooting it out where it's not supposed to be going?
It's a good, listen, I'll put it to you this way, Tom. Here's an interesting thing. Sometimes the government has a way to bring out a story that ends up being their undoing, right? So they put out a problem and they say, hey, we got a problem. And then people start investigating and they go, oh, maybe we shouldn't have brought attention to that. But now they have. Thank you, Tom. Much appreciated.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you got it. I got to call. Now I have to call Karen now. I got to find out what the deal is because she would know. She deals with every one of the food banks in the state. When I say this woman is connected, she is connected. They call her Carmela for a reason. Let's go to Chip in Coventry. Hey, Chip.
Reese, my man, I'm gonna listen. I'm having my blood pressure is up. Blood pressure.
Sorry about that.
No, not because of you. And again, like my ex-girlfriend said, Chip, you're not the sharpest tool in the shed, and I never knew what that meant. So when it comes to politics,
Which proved her point.
I honestly didn't know. I think it's from Shrek. I don't know, but I think I get it now. But I'm not stupid, and I'm not ignorant anymore after listening. I love your show. Was like, I don't know, man. You should be a zillionaire and get compensated, and then give half to me because you and me are brothers. That's all I gotta say. But did you? I do love you, bro.
Thank you.
But did you see the grilling from our? Oh my God, Chris Murphy was drilling, and I think it was in the Senate. Our Homeland Security. What's her name?
Kristi
Noem?
Noem? Yes. I actually did play it on
Noem.
I played it on the air earlier this week. And I was expressing the fact that this is a perfect example of Chris Murphy's inability to have a dialogue with somebody who disagrees with him. Because it is his entire 5 to 6 minutes in his exchange with her was him filibustering the whole thing and then asking her one or maybe two questions at the end of his exchange, forcing her to only answer it within 30 seconds. She had to give a yes or no answer after he spent 4.5 to 5 minutes pretty much chastising her about illegal immigration. Yeah, and I addressed that. I think it was Monday or Tuesday I talked about it. But yeah, I watched it. And then I watched this exchange between him and Robert F. Kennedy. I have that audio too.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I want your opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said to her, being the Homeland Security, ICE and all this. I think he said every illegal immigrant, unquote, has a right to due process, something like that. And I'm like, oh, no. Illegal means illegal. Try going to another country like Iran or China and ask for what these illegals are getting in our country. And I'm thinking, no, we have sanctuary cities. We have to go by the federal, the guidelines. But I'm thinking
they don't understand. Listen,
really?
Chip, let me explain this to you. They do not understand what the they do not understand what the term due process means because, again, legal citizenship. See, what they're trying to suggest is that the Constitution applies to anyone, cross the border, and once you get over that imaginary line, the Constitution now protects you. That's what they're trying to get. And remember, if they keep repeating that over and over again, the denunts will repeat it too. And I've got enough arguments with these people that I actually have to keep showing them case law that says that your due process is when a judge says, nope, can't stay here, time to go bye-bye. That's the due process. You're here illegally, you don't qualify for asylum, and you go home. By the way, when Barack Obama was returning people at the border, like he was accepting them and then returning them back into Mexico, he was calling that a deportation. So it didn't matter whether or not you were here for 15 days in the Texas border, in Texas, and you went back to Mexico, he called that 15 days or 15 minutes. He called that a deportation. Never once did those people see a judge. Never. They just were taken and then removed. That's it. No due process.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'll get into trouble for saying this, but I think the Democrats and the left, I think they're smoking too much cannabis. They don't. Their brain is not functioning properly. Hey, smoke it, man. But when you go in front of the Congress, and I did feel bad for, is again Christine or Chris Naomi or
Kristi Noem.
She did have. I felt bad for her watching. I only watched it, on the social media for I think it was like 3 minutes.
My wife is like you. My wife is like you. She watched that and she goes, "Why did you be so mean to Kristi Noem?" I said, "Yeah, I totally get it." She did. She stood her ground though. You have to watch all of it. She stood her ground. She looked good. She looked great. So the excerpts as you're watching them make it look like she got quite a beating, but no, she held her own. She did pretty well. I got to go, Chip, but thank you, man. She did. She held herself down. I've got RFK audio as well to play. When we come back, the Connecticut Sun. I promised I was going to talk about this yesterday, but I didn't get into it. I've got an audio soundbite from News 12 that I want to talk about. Let me just preface by saying this. Ladies and gentlemen, the Connecticut Sun are leaving Connecticut. And the information that I looked up today all but certifies it. I know the Connecticut Sun is not long for Connecticut. Is that a good thing? No. But there is a way that you can save it. I just don't think anyone's going to do it. I'm going to give you the statistics and the breakdown when we get back, so stick around for that. Connecticut Sun, I looked at the numbers. I'm looking at all of these numbers and the reports. I'll say this much. Let me say this one. Ned Lamont is not putting any weight behind keeping them here. And you'll hear his audio. You'll hear the audio and see if you got the same sense that I did. That he is not going to put any effort in keeping the Connecticut Sun at Mohegan Sun. I'm certain of it. We'll talk about that when we return. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christophers in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
You know what? The Mohegan Sun is going to get rid of them for sure.
You think
They're gonna
so?
Sell it up. They're going to make a huge profit. And earlier last season, they had a game up at TD Garden in Boston. Sold it out without
Don't steal my thunder. That's the biggest thing. That's the big reveal. I have those numbers. It's crazy.
The Mohegan Sun is in the smallest market in the WNBA.
That's correct.
And they want them in a bigger market, and it's going to happen. Unfortunately, it's going to happen.
Yeah, the numbers. I did the numbers. It's incredible.
Oh yeah. They're obviously with the big stars coming into the league now over the last few years. WNBA is getting huge. Southbound 91 coming into Hartford, delays 34 down to 32 A and B, again 27 to 28. You'll see more slow traffic as you move between 23 and 22. We have an accident on the right shoulder between 22 and 21, so look out for that. If you are traveling on the northbound side of 91, you're going to see a pretty good ride from Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 slowing 56 Governor Street out to 45 Flatbush. 84 eastbound slowing a mile before 46 Sisson Avenue into the tunnel. A little slow 58 to 59 in East Hartford. 2 westbound tied up in East Hartford. 1D up to the 84 West merge. 9 north and southbound heavy moving into downtown Middletown for the Aragoni. Route 8 southbound, we have an accident in Naugatuck between exit 26 and 25B. 3 vehicle accident reported there. Highway reportedly shut down. Route 8 southbound at 26 in Naugatuck. Delays back to 29 in Waterbury. Behind that, southbound Parkway, look for delays from exit 62 down into the West Rock. Northbound Parkway slowing 59 into the West Rock Tunnel. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
For the rest of our Thursday afternoon, it remains cloudy with a couple of showers. Pleasant temps, though, the high 74. Overcast and remaining warm tonight, the low down to 63. Now Friday, still cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, so you may want to take an umbrella just in case. Otherwise warmer, the high up to 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening, then Saturday, mostly cloudy. Could be some strong storms around that produce flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts, the high 73. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
5 o'clock, Hartford temperature 72 degrees. Good afternoon, I'm John Silva. WTIC 1080 News. 2 people were taken to the hospital today. Hundreds of others had to be decontaminated following a hazmat situation in Canaan. A suspicious package turned up at the Becton Dickinson Medical Technology Facility. Local emergency responders, state and federal environmental officials are at the scene. Between 300 and 350 people needed to undergo the decontamination process. There's no word yet on what was in that package. State Supreme Court hearing arguments today over President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship. At issue is whether 3 lower courts had the authority to block Trump's order nationwide or just in the 22 states that have challenged the order. CBS's Jan Crawford.
What we've seen here are these challenges across the country to President Trump's executive order that would really scale back automatic birthright citizenship in this country, which is considered historically a bedrock principle going back almost 150 years. So 3 judges decided that they were going to apply their rulings nationwide, not just to the parties that were in front of them, the people who were challenging the lawsuits in their courtrooms. They were going to apply them to everyone across the country, every single person. And that's the issue here.
Solicitor General, arguing on behalf of the administration, says the amendment to the Constitution had to do with children of slaves, not those born here to parents who came to the U.S. illegally. Joining a group of his colleagues at the High Court today, Connecticut Attorney General William Tong said it is explicitly stated in the Constitution that those who are born here are citizens.
As the 14th Amendment establishes who we are, that this is the soul of our country, and it unlocks all of the possibilities that have enabled our lives, my life, your life, all of our lives to be possible.
Connecticut now has short and long-term concerns about funding Medicaid. WTIC's Dave Mager reports.
The state says it's $285 million short of being able to pay its Medicaid budget for this fiscal year. House Speaker Matt Ritter says that means a deficiency vote on Monday for lawmakers to allocate money to fill the gap.
Medicaid checks won't go out if we don't solve this. I want people to understand that. OPM has said they will not mail checks.
Those are checks to providers required to go out next week. Then there's the long-term outlook for Medicaid, with Republicans in Washington planning massive cuts. Senate Chair of the State Public Health Committee, Saud Anwar, says that means it will be left to Connecticut to reassess budgetary priorities.
And that's why we'll have to reallocate resources.
That, he says, could include dipping into the multi-billion-dollar rainy day fund. Dave Maker, WTIC 1080 News.
They're calling it a code red. Nurses at Bacchus Hospital held an information picket today as they push for a new contract with the parent company, Hartford Healthcare. Nurses say talks for a new contract have stalled. Angela Langlace is a registered nurse and constitutional delegate for the AFT Bacchus Federation of Nurses Union.
We're getting a lot of pushback from the hospital executives. We're fighting for unsafe staffing. We're fighting for workplace violence. We're fighting for a lot of changes that are not happening in the hospital. And it's come to this point where we have to informational picket and get the community involved and know what's going on inside the hospital.
Says they'll go on strike if necessary. In a written statement, Hartford Healthcare says it's disappointed by the job action, but it looks forward to reaching a fair agreement. They're expected to resume talks later this evening. Sex trial of Sean Diddy Combs continued in Manhattan today with cross-examination of his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
For instance, there was testimony about how Sean Combs was controlling over Cassie, how he controlled everything from the tall, lucite shoes that she wore during their freak-offs to her nail color. And she would send him pictures of her clothing and hair to consult with him and get his affirmation about it.
Katrina Kaufman reporting. Wall Street, the Dow up 271 points today. NASDAQ shed 34. The S&P was up 24 points. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a health determined if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I'm going to do something I haven't done in a while.
I still don't know what had happened was.
What had happened was.
Yeah, it's been a while since I did what had happened was. For those of you who are joining the show late, earlier in the show, we spoke to Representative Gary. Why am I forgetting his name now? Oh, that's so bad.
Turco.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Representative Gary Turco of Newington. We spoke to him earlier about the new bill, the House bill to regulate social media use for kids. That was a good interview. Even, again, he's a Democrat. I didn't want to get into all the other weed stuff. Weed stuff in the weeds with him about other stuff. And you know what? If he becomes a regular, then we'll get into, some little tete-a-tete, some very rough stuff. Somebody was saying to me in the chat room, if you have a conversation with him, be careful. He's got a lot of Trump derangement syndrome. I'm not going to talk. I don't want to even talk to local politicians about national politics. I want to talk about what's going on with you in your communities. It's easy to ask these folks, tell us how much you hate Trump. I could do that all day. That's boring to me. I want to talk about this because I think, again, I agree with some of what he's doing, but I don't, I don't co-sign anything without further review. And I know that, in Connecticut, there's a lot of stenography going on. It's like the Democrats say that they're pushing something and the reporters just, okay, no problem, we'll report on it. But I thought this was an interesting conversation, so I'm glad that he was able to come on and have it. So that's what had happened was go to reesontheradio.com if you want to listen to that interview at the 4 o'clock hour. All right? And when we come back, we'll talk some more about the Connecticut Sun. Maybe Mark, well, he might not be able to. Well, Jason Catarina's got your weather and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, we're going to talk about Connecticut Sun, and I'm going to talk about that thing in August, by the way, that happened. Because there's much more than the fact that the August numbers in the attendance on that Connecticut Sun game. It's when it happened. That's more important. So we'll get into that.
All right, sounds good. Reese, thank you very much. And this traffic report is being brought to you by Columbia Implant Center in Manchester. And if you're heading into downtown Hartford right now, southbound 91 delays, 34 down to 32 A and B, and again down by exit 28. More slow traffic as you move by exit 24 down to 23 in Rocky Hill. And a little bump again, 19 to 17 in Meriden. Looks good, 91 northbound, Cromwell up in the winter. Westbound 84 tied up 56 Governor Street out to 47 Sigourney. 84 eastbound locked up about a mile before 46th Avenue to the Bulkley Bridge. 291's running a little slow now, I-91 over to the Bissell. If you are traveling 2 westbound, delays 1D up to the 84 West merge in East Hartford. 3 northbound delays, Putnam Bridge up to 13B and C, heading to the Route 2 ramps. 9 north and southbound, a little slow at the Aragoni Bridge. 9 northbound slowing by 32 in Berlin. If you're heading toward Waterbury, 84 eastbound, delays 17 to 18. Route 8 southbound in Naugatuck. We had an accident between exit 26 and 25B. That has shut down the highway at exit 26, delays back to exit 29 in Waterbury behind that. Southbound Parkway delays 62 down into the West Rock Tunnel, and northbound Parkway slowing 59 into the West Rock. Stuck in traffic again? Don't waste another minute. Columbia Implant Center in Manchester gets you in and out fast, often in just one day, open 7 days a week. Get your smile back now. Columbia Implant Center, ColumbiaImplantCenter.com. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Well, still a couple of very spotty light showers in and around and mostly north of Hartford right now. As we head through the overnight tonight, though, it remains overcast and mild with the low only down to 63. Still cloudy Friday, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon. Warm, though, the high of 81. Friday night, a thunderstorm in the evening, otherwise partly to mostly cloudy. Another mild night, the low down to 61. Saturday, mostly cloudy. A thunderstorm could be stronger and produce some flooding downpours and localized damaging wind gusts. The high 73. Couple of showers Saturday evening, then partly sunny, breezy with a shower in spots Sunday. Otherwise pleasant with the high of 75. Right now, it's 71 in Meriden, 70 in New Haven, 71 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina in the WTIC Weather Center.
At Progressive, we're making things easier. We'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Concerned about your gums? Columbia Dental's expert periodontists specialize in treating all gum conditions, helping you achieve a healthy, confident smile. Open 7 days a week. Call 860-645-0111 or visit ColumbiaDental.com.
This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health, where we've successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help Marty.
I was a really grumpy guy, sleeping like garbage, and getting older, the energy level was just in the toilet. And that was what led to me going in. I've been treated at Northeast Men's Health for low testosterone, coming on about 2 years now. Within a few weeks, I started noticing I was sleeping a little bit better. I definitely noticed a higher energy level, but the old man crankiness just went away. I'm able to stay really well organized. Nothing slips through the cracks. Having the T treatment is leading me to keep on top of my game. What I would say to any other guy that is in the same situation where they feel like they're dragging, just call Northeast Men's Health. You won't regret it.
Thanks, Marty. It's true. Low T therapy can dramatically change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call today, 800-930-5956, or go to northeastmenshealth.com.
Seems everything costs more than groceries. And when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies... Hey, answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Reese on the Radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Drop it.
We're back. Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Very soon, we'll take the last but not least caller of the day. Don't be shy, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't call the show regularly, I understand many people are concerned that if somebody recognizes their voice, that somebody might say, "You are conservative." Don't worry about it. Trust me, people love this show. Give us a call in about a little bit, another 40 minutes or so. Give us a call. Be the last but not least caller of the day, so you could win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Manchester, and Vernon. And if I may, I'd like to give a shout out to Sharon in South Windsor over at Between Rounds. Thank you. And it is beautiful of you to ask and make the request. I won't tell anybody what the request was, but I appreciate you. It's very kind. You have humbled this poor soul. You have no idea. So, Sharon, if you're listening, well, I heard you do. And so I'm very, very appreciative of you even considering it, and I will make sure that that request is met. So I know you weren't expecting the shout-out, but I just want to say, Sharon, at the South Windsor Between Rounds, thank you. I love you for that, and I will absolutely make that happen. In fact, I'll be talking to Jerry about it as well. To make sure it happens very soon. And I'll send it to you personally. So as I said in the last break, and I talked a little bit with Mark about it yesterday. In fact, Mark stole my thunder yesterday on the story, but I said I was going to bring it up. I thought it was a compelling story because I remember when I first got here in 2004, the biggest story was about Bob Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, making the attempt, or at least giving the impression that he was going to bring the Patriots to Connecticut. And Connecticut was excited about that because it kind of puts the city on the map. And they found out it was nothing more than a ruse to get, it was leverage, if you will. So, of course, he could get Gillette. And that's, what happened. And people were they're still angry about it. Let me just say that. It goes without saying. People are still ticked off about it. So then they get a major franchise. Sure, it's the WNBA. 25 years. 25. I think it's 26 now. 26 long years for a not profitable franchise. And it's nothing against the Connecticut Sun. The WNBA is subsidized by the NBA, and they're both losing money. Okay? But with the emergence of Caitlin Clark, it is blown up. And there are a lot of female basketball superstars. It is unlike the inaugural seasons where plenty of women who a lot of people knew that sort of fell off. And there was this time where nobody really knew the members of the WNBA. It's few and far between. Well, now forget about it. It's an abundance. And people make claims about what it has to do with white women. But that may be the case, but who knows? Who knows? So I saw this story on News Channel 11. I want to play it for you. And I want you to pay attention at the end to Ned Lamont. And it gave me some pause. That's why I did this research. I don't think Ned Lamont's going to push back on Mohegan Sun or the owners of the Connecticut Sun from leaving. Listen to the end of the piece.
While the Sun gear up to start the regular season this Sunday, the main focus isn't on the court, but rather the front office. It was 1 year ago when the team welcomed a sold-out crowd of nearly 10,000 on opening night. But 12 months later, there are questions and concerns about the future of the franchise.
This is a state that was made for women's basketball.
The Mohegan Native American tribe, which owns the team, recently hired investment bank Allen & Company to explore a potential sale. Team president Jen Rosati called timeout on the idea of the Sun being sold and immediately relocated out of Connecticut. State lawmakers point to the recent $100 million renovation of Hartford's XL Center as a potential landing spot. Governor Lamont says he's not in favor of taxpayers footing a bill to keep the Sun in Connecticut, but he understands how important the team is to hometown fans.
They mean a lot to the state, so I'll be talking to Mohegan Sun and see what the situation is. We want them here.
In a statement, Mohegan Sun leadership says it remains committed to the team's continued success, which includes looking at all strategic options in the best interest of the Connecticut Sun, Mohegan Tribal Gaming Authority, and the WNBA.
So if you heard Ned Lamont, it was like, yeah, we want him here. But it didn't sound like a very full-throated support of keeping the team. Yeah, I'll be talking to them and see what's going on. But we want them here. Of course you do, without a doubt. But Connecticut, unfortunately, you may be the problem. So I started looking at the numbers. And as you heard Mark Christopher bring up, there was this one game last year. And the game was sold out at the TD Bank Garden. But before we get to that, I need to get here. This is important to note. When I looked it up, the average attendance last season, at the Mohegan Sun for the Connecticut Sun was 8,400 people. That's great. For a 9,000 to 10,000 seat stadium, it's not bad. It averages at 8,400. But as you heard Mark Christopher bring up, trying to steal my thunder again, in August of last season, they threw a game, the first WNBA game, up at the TD Bank Garden. In attendance, here's the press release. Today, the Connecticut Sun announced that its game against the Los Angeles Sparks, August 20th at 7 p.m., has officially sold out. The game will make history as the first WNBA game to be held at the storied TD Garden. We're thrilled at our first ever WNBA game at TD Garden, featuring the Connecticut Sun and the Los Angeles Sparks. And it has sold out. That is the president of the TD Garden. Sold out, you say? The Connecticut Sun and Mohegan Sun was getting an average of 8,400 in a 10,000-seat stadium. When they took their first ever game to the TD Garden, they sold out over 19,000 seats. 19,000. Yeah. If your math is going on in your head, that's called double. Folks, it was on August 20th, and something made me go, I wonder what day of the week that was. So I looked it up. It was a Tuesday at 7 p.m. on a school night. At 7 p.m., the WNBA, okay, sold out. As Mark Christopher was alluding, they're going to Boston. How do you not? How do you not? Even if they didn't sell out, even if they came in at less than half, they would still garner another 2,000, maybe 3,000 more than what they're getting at Mohegan Sun. But like I said, the only way that changes is if you get the attendance up. 8,000 is great for a market like Connecticut. It is. It's great. It's fantastic. But the only way it stays here is if there is marketability here. Sure. Are they buying more, Suns paraphernalia like jerseys and other stuff? I'm sure they are. I'm sure that there's a lot more interest in the WNBA. But the only way it stays is if the fans actually show up. They have to. The draft picks have to be important as well, but they have to show up. And this is where, you have to say to yourself, do I want to keep them here? In order for me to stay here, in order for them to stay here, you're going to have to, let your pocketbook do the talking. But other than that, I think they're going. And Ned Lamont did not seem to, he made that claim. He's like, I don't think I'm going to get taxpayers to pay for this. Which, let me give it to Ned Lamont. Finally thinking about others. But I don't think they stay. I don't think it's reasonable for them to stay. Not if you can get that kind of bank in Boston. And again, I'm not rooting for it. I'm just saying that, look, that's the way that works. So, and maybe I'm wrong. You tell me, 860-522-WTIC, if you believe that the Connecticut Sun really has an interest, because it can't just be lip service that we should do it, we should keep it here for the sake of keeping it here. Right? You can't really say, oh, it'd be wrong, to move them somewhere else just for money. The WNBA is already hemorrhaging cash. How many can the XL Center hold? I do not know, Scott, and I should look that up. I think that, in fact,
Not that much more.
Not that much more? Is it just, what is it, like a 10?
They're doing renovations to make it get bigger.
Right. There's a $100 million renovation that's going on at the XL. So, but you know what? If you really, see, that's the other thing. You have to justify it, though, right? So I can make a I can make a 20,000 seat arena in Connecticut. In order to do that, I've got to fill those seats. Like whoever the promoter is, I've got to fill those seats. I've got to have concerts that mean something.
Oh, actually, it's 16,000. That's not bad.
16,000. Now look. Now the math's got a math. Okay, 8,000 is showing up to Mohegan, and all things considered, Mohegan is a distance, right? You got to go all the way out to the east for that. Right?
Yeah, it'll be better at XL.
Exactly. So if you bring it to the center of city, that could change, right? You can even expect New Haven to take part in going, because that's what is that, 30-minute drive? You got New Haven going to Hartford to come see the games. That's not bad. People will take that trip. I know people who leave Jersey to go all the way to Yankee Stadium to go watch the Yankees play. It's just right across the George Washington Bridge. But they'll go 30, 45 minutes for a game. So 30 minutes out of New Haven, even 40 minutes out of Bridgeport to go see a game, it's not awful. I would not put it in Stamford. I don't care what anybody says. Not going to Stamford. But in Hartford, yeah, the surrounding cities, sure, you might be able to get that attendance up to 10, maybe 15,000. Well, 12,000. I don't think 15. I think that's lofty. So you said the XL Center is 16,000?
Yeah, they probably fit about 30. They probably get about 13, 14 in there.
Yeah, and I think
for the Sun, because a lot of people go.
I think right. Listen, is the distance to where you have to travel to go to watch the Connecticut Sun play in Mohegan. Again, a lot of people in Connecticut are driving. What is that? Is that a 40-minute drive to go to Mohegan from Hartford?
50 minutes.
About 50. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it depends on how you drive too.
Yeah, says you. That's a considerable distance. But like I said, if you go to the XL Center, that's if you can keep them there. I think the numbers will grow, and I'm not saying this to be demeaning in any way, if they're trying to maximize their income, they're going to go to Boston. Because again, even if you don't match that 19,000, Because, again, that made no sense. The Los Angeles team against the Connecticut Sun on a Tuesday in August?
Yeah, I think that was a playoff game, though.
Was that a playoff game? No, they start the season in May. Maybe it was a playoff game.
Yeah, I think it was a playoff game.
Was it? Okay. Well, then that makes sense then. That makes sense. So a playoff game pulling in 19,000, that's, yeah. They said the Garden, owned and operated by Delaware North, first opened its doors to the public on the 30th, 19th, revenue expected more than 3. Okay, that's something else. That's unassociated to this story. But like I said, even if you get 10,000 a night, that's more than you do there. And now that you have access, and I think the full access to the Boston market, if you have them at TD, you're looking at all of the outer regions of Boston. So you got Mattapan and Malden and Quincy and Southie, and they got all of these places. The average, I think, what's the population of Boston is anywhere around 600,000. The outer rim of Boston, you're looking at about 1.4 million. Yeah, you can, without a doubt, you can keep that place.
They'll keep it packed in there.
Yeah, they'll keep it
at least
packed.
15,000.
Exactly. And if they're a contender, if they're a playoff contender, forget about it. Titletown.
They were playoff contender here. Went to the WNBA finals.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
I was at the last finals game they had at CT Sun.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't think that there's a lot of enthusiasm to keep them. I think they're going to go.
That's too bad, man.
Yeah. And maybe, like I said, Connecticut, you can keep them, but it's going to really take a bunch of people jumping in and actually start going to the games. And, you've got to flood the zone with attendance and the whole 9 yards. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, I just wanted to say before you look, that game on August 20th was on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was on a Tuesday.
Well, the Boston Metro's 5 million people. Hartford Metro's 1.1 million. I mean, it's way bigger than Hartford. And plus, they're not even in Hartford. They're in Nashville. Well, they're down in in the southeastern part of the state.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's so far to get there.
Yeah, they're in Mashantucket.
Yeah.
Which that whole area is maybe a couple 100,000 people. It's really small.
Yeah.
Plus, I really disagree with what they're doing with the Hartford Civic Center. This is a building that is totally outdated. They're throwing $100 million at it. The building went up originally in 1975. It opened up for $30 million.
Wow.
And then when the roof collapsed, it went from 10,000 to just over 16,000 for basketball. But I don't know. Throwing $100 million at a building that's really outdated to me is insane.
And you brought exactly, and you're not bringing a major sports team there. It is a waste of money.
You know what? I mean, you got UConn. A lot of the money is going into the behind the scenes, so concerts are more attractive for
That's
concerts.
True.
So they better bring in some concerts, or this is going to be a big waste of money.
Exactly.
And there's so many concert venues now. I don't know how that's going to work. But there again, you build a new building, you could host NCAA stuff and all that, but I don't think they're going to do that. Hey, if you're heading into Hartford right now, southbound 91, you got delays 34 down to 32 A and B. Again, slowing 27 down to 28. Delays again 24 down to between 23 and 22 on the Rocky Hill Cromwell line. We have an accident in the right lane. Northbound 91's fine. Westbound 84 slows 56 to 47 Sigourney Street. 84 eastbound locked up. 44 Prospect Oakwood down to the Bulkley Bridge. 291 eastbound slowing. I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. 8 southbound in Naugatuck right now. We're dealing with an accident. 8 southbound between 26 and 25B. 3-vehicle accident there. Highway shut down at exit 26. Delays back to 29 in Waterbury behind that. Traffic and weather together on the 8's WTIC News Talk 1080.
This traffic report is being brought to you by Stu Leonard's Farm Fresh Foods. This week at Stu Leonard's Farm Fresh Foods, direct from their Midwest ranchers, ground beef chuck. Fresh ground daily by their butchers, just $3.99 a pound. Plus, fresh juicy strawberries in a 2-pound package is only $6.99. Save $1.
And now, a WTIC news update.
5:30, 72 degrees in Hartford. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. WTIC Weather Center calling for a thunder shower perhaps this evening. Overcast and mild tonight in the low 60s. We'll start Friday off with clouds and perhaps a thunderstorm with a high of 80. Looks like a better chance for showers and thunderstorms on Saturday before a cold front sweeps through and brings the temperatures and the humidity down somewhat for Sunday. Hazmat situation in the town of Canaan. Officials say hundreds at a medical technology company had to be decontaminated when a suspicious package was found at the Becton Dickinson facility. 2 people were hospitalized as a precaution. 4 men under arrest after Waterbury police say they assaulted a female victim this morning. Police say the victim ran out of a home in the area of Chapman Avenue, flagged down a school bus driver who then called police. All of those involved said to know each other. The 4 suspects face assault and breach of peace charges. Nurses picketed outside Bacchus Hospital in Norwich today. They issued what they're calling a code red. They say the turnover there is high, the patient care is deteriorating, and they're burned out. Talks between the union and the parent company, Hartford Healthcare, set to resume this evening. Also on the labor front, Pratt & Whitney machinist strike continuing, both at the East Hartford and Middletown campuses. They've been off the job nearly 2 weeks in a dispute over wages, retirement, and health care issues. Department of Transportation, Federal Department of Transportation, and the state DOT now in agreement on a deal to speed up some 90 projects around the state. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says they have tried to cut red tape that's been in the way to get the projects rolling. Dow up 271 points today on Wall Street. The NASDAQ lost 34. The S&P was up 24. Baseball locals are idle tonight. The Red Sox open a 3-game series against the Braves tomorrow at Fenway. We'll have the pregame here after the news at 6:10. Eastern League tonight, Binghamton continues their series at Duncan against the Yard Goats. 7:10, the first pitch on the Odyssey app. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-253-6203. 800-253-6203. 800-253-6203.
We all hear the radio. IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmares by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hi, this is WTIC NewsTalk 1080 Operations Manager Steve Salhaney. Happy birthday, WTIC NewsTalk 1080.
Steve, what's going on, buddy? Reese on the Radio, we are almost out of here. Tomorrow, don't forget, Mrs. on the Radio joins the program.
Yes, it's ladies night, oh,
night. We'll talk about whatever is going on. Actually, I found out some interesting news this morning. And I waited 4 or 5 weeks. I went, every year you got to go get an eye exam. And back in April, I got this eye exam, and the doctor comes in. It's just one of those student ones, it's a learning center kind of deal. It's like going to like a barber school. But this is an eye doctor school. So they have an actual eye doctor there, but these kids are, college, students taking care of your eyes. Anyway, so we get a real doctor at the end, and the doctor comes in and looks at my eyes. And in April, the doctor says, wow, like talking about degeneration, like no signs of it. It looks like your eyesight's great. It's fantastic. Anyway, so I wait 5 weeks because they have to get me a new kind of contact. They want to try a new contact on me, which is, I guess it's a bifocal, right? So, you get older, so for distance and for, near sight and far sight, whatever. I don't understand it. I was barely listening. So I let my wife do it because she used to work in an optometrist office. So she knows a little bit about this stuff. And she loves going to this doctor appointment because she gets to hobnob with people, the students and stuff, and sort of test her knowledge. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, so we have this other physician who comes in, and he's got to go over the same test that they did. So I'm almost like getting a second test with a second opinion. And he's doing the beam of light in my eyes, which, again, baffles my mind because they say don't look into the sun during an eclipse. But this guy puts a ray of light right through my brain, which I never can understand. Anyway, he does that. And then he says the words you don't want to hear. He goes, yeah, looks like we're seeing the onset of cataracts. And I went, oh, come on. And then he says, yeah, but, I'm just telling you, I see a little bit of it. I mean, it's not going to be a problem for another 10 to 15 years. Then he says the words that you're never supposed to say to a patient. Never supposed to say, if you live that long. So I went, what? Who says that? Who said, you're not going to have to worry about it for another 10 to 15 years if you live that long. I'm no longer concerned about my cataracts. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Catarino with weather and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Have you ever had cataract surgery? You're a little older than me. Are you concerned yet?
I had both of them done.
You had both done?
One in my 40s, like my mid-40s.
Isn't that early?
50s.
Isn't that early to get it done?
My dad had them done early, too. Maybe it's something hereditary.
Oh, he did say that. He said that, I'm 55, so he said I'm supposed to start seeing signs of it. But he says I'm really early.
Listen, if your vision goes bad because of a cataract, go in there, get it done. It is the easiest thing.
Yeah?
The only thing that's kind of a pain is you got to wear an eye patch for 24 hours.
That's nothing. I've done
that.
But
you literally go in, they put you under propofol. You can hear the doctors. You can hear the noise in the room. You're sort of half out of it.
Yeah.
And it looks like a TV screen late at night in the old days when the station went off the air.
Yeah.
And all you saw with the fuzz.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I had LASIK surgery. This sounds incredibly like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's no pain. You got to go back for a visit a week later and then a month later. But literally, it's real easy. It's just wearing a patch for 24 hours. So don't hesitate if you have to do it. It's really no big deal at all. Hey, if you're heading into Hartford right now, southbound 91 delays 30. And I got a great doctor if you need a great
a recommendation.
If you need an opinion, I got a great doctor for you if you're in the Connecticut area. Southbound 91 slowing 33 down to 32 A and B. Slowing again, approaching 24. We have an accident between 23 and 22 in the Route 9 interchange. The right lane's out there. Northbound 91 moving well. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor. Westbound 84 tied up 56 Governor Street out to 45 Flatbush. 84 eastbound a little slow. About a half mile before 46 Sisson Avenue into the tunnel. A little tight again out by the 384 interchange. 291 eastbound slowing. I-91 over to the Bissell Bridge. 2 westbound tight. 1D up to the 84 West merge. Route 3 southbound heavy approaching the Putnam Bridge down to the 91 ramps. 3 northbound slowing approaching exit 13B and C. Big problem in Naugatuck right now. Route 8 southbound, an accident between 26 and 25B. Highway shut down at exit 26. Delays back to 29 in Waterbury behind that. Traffic and weather together on the 8th WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
We got a spotty shower between Bloomfield and Windsor right now, another up toward Ellington and just to the east of Enfield, and another just north of Andover. And that's it as far as the showers are concerned on the radar right now, and they are moving away from the region. As we head through tonight, overcast and warm, the low down to 63. Still cloudy Friday, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon. A warm day, the high of 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening, otherwise partly to mostly cloudy, mild, the low down to 61. A thunderstorm on Saturday as well. That could be packing a wallop with some flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts. The high of 73. Still a couple of showers Saturday evening. Then partly sunny Sunday, breezy, a shower in spots. Pleasant temps, though, the high of 75. Let's see, right now, 68 in Waterbury, 72 Danbury, 66 New Haven, and 70 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
We promise fast, friendly, reliable service. Visit us at calljoetheplumber.com.
Now at McDonald's, grab any size iced coffee for just $1.29 during breakfast hours only and pair it with your favorite bagel sandwich. Price and participation may vary.
Join us this Sunday for Tumalo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father-son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumalo Financial, retirement planning with integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a health. Determine if appropriate
Got it.
restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is. You know who it is. You know who it is. It's Reese on the Radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080. We are almost out of here. If you would like to win an opportunity, or at least get the opportunity, to get a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, contact us at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. You can win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, your bagel bakery and sandwich cafe. And they will send it to you. So get on the phone now to do that. I got some very, very disturbing news that just came over the wire. So, of course, as we do things here at Reese on the Radio, we do it with a lot of pageantry. So let me make sure that I do this right. Whenever there is breaking news, we do breaking news. Is that it right there? Where is it? I thought I had it. I thought I was just looking right at it. I thought I set this up. And, of course, I don't. I don't have it set up, which, again, sucks in and of itself. Okay, it's not here. All right, my apologies. I'm sorry. We'll do it next time. But anyway, if you're watching online, you can see that picture there. And that is the account of none other than the former FBI director, James Comey, whom Donald Trump fired. And if you're looking at that picture, I'll describe it to you if you're listening on the radio or listening online. It is a picture of the sand with seashells in a formation of numbers. And the numbers are 8647. Again, the formation of shells is 8647, with the caption, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk." Is the message cryptic? Yes, it is. 8647. Anybody want to take a wild guess on what that means? Roland, you're familiar with that term, aren't you? If somebody writes 8647, what do you think it means? If you had to guess.
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't? Okay. Well, here's the question they're asking online. Did former FBI Director James Comey call for the assassination of Donald Trump? James Comey posted a cryptic message on his Instagram account today, which spelled out in seashells 8647. 86 means elimination. 47 is Donald Trump's number as President of the United States, the 47th President of the United States. Now, you might remember Maxine Waters used to run around selling T-shirts and hats that said impeach 45 when Donald Trump was the 45th President of the United States. But someone like a former FBI director would know that a veiled threat is just as significant as an actual one. And coming from an FBI director, that seems bold. Many people have responded to this, and then one particular person said, and I quote, "Wow, did you just call for the assassination of my dad?" And that was Donald Trump Jr. in reposting James Comey's Twitter post. How else do you put it? If there's anyone who should know better, it should be that guy. But look, as I said before, and people do not pay attention to me, this thing about Trump derangement, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. It has everything to do with the mindset of the individual. Here is James Comey so angry with Donald Trump, his existence. He is willing to jeopardize his own career, his own status as an individual, to post something like that. He is so demented that he would put that out there knowing that someone would make hay about it. I'm so angry at Donald Trump that I would put this out there. The derangement, it only affects them. Only. Who was that supposed to affect? That doesn't affect Donald Trump in any way. James Comey is now going to have to show up on MSNBC, and they're going to have to do whatever they can in their power to salvage him from his own undoing. That's what that is. That's what that's about. Let's go to Steve in Waterbury. Hey, Steve.
Hey, in all fairness, the 86 could also mean reject or discard or whatever, but that's not the original reason I called it. But it does come to mind. Do you remember Get Smart, the TV show?
I'm sorry, what was the name of the TV show?
Get Smart.
Oh, Get Smart. Yes, Agent 86.
Right. Agent 86, right.
Right.
Matter of fact, he's done rolling about it because I forgot if he was 88 or whatever case may be, but back when he was on the air. Getting back to your cataracts was part of the reason why I called. First of all, there was an old joke about doctor told the guy he only had 6 months to live. The guy says, I can't possibly pay my bill in that amount of time, so he gave him another 6 months.
I love that joke. I do. I love that joke because it talks a lot about the medical industry. That's what's so fantastic about
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're not a smoker, are you, or do you smoke?
I'm an ex-smoker. I haven't had a drink going on 6 years and haven't had a smoke in more than 4.
Well, got to go out and celebrate that.
Right.
Seriously, that's awesome. But you also want to avoid like UV rays, and when you're out tanning, you want to put on the Polaroid glasses there.
It's crazy that I think about, again, as I was talking about the eye test that he was giving me. There's the one, for those of you who've been to the eye doctor recently, I know you're familiar with it, but they tell you to put your chin inside the device, and then they put, they shine the light inside your eyes, almost like a microscope, but it's a big bright light that goes through your eye, and they turn it a certain way so it goes over your eye, and you got to look directly into them and not blink, which is difficult to do. But when they're shining it in my eye, the whole time I'm going there, I said to the young lady who was doing it today, and I said, it's so interesting that in one breath they tell you don't stare directly into the sun during an eclipse, but here you guys will shine a freaking like a bright light right through my eyes. And she says to me, "Oh no, this is different." I was like, "Why?" Because it's 2 inches from my face, as opposed to, it's like.
Did they take a?
Yes.
Did they take a picture of your eyeball?
Not this time. They usually do that. Like my ex-wife, It's so funny. My last wife and my current wife both used to be optometry technicians. They both did the same job. And my ex-wife used to do it all the time. She would take pictures of my eye and I would look at it. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be looking at because, it's too advanced for me. But these people, they, the tests that they do are incredible. Steve, what's the thing that they do? They put, I don't know what it is, but they put it in the eye. They put you an eye drop in the eye. No, yeah, it does dilate, but there's another one that they do that numbs the eye so they can poke your eyeball.
Oh, geez, I haven't had that done, but yeah.
Yeah, what's it called, sweetheart? Okay, yeah, it's checking the ocular pressure. Okay. I will admit the first time I ever had that done was when I was going to get my LASIK surgery. And I'd never had that test done. And so the guy says, "Look, I'm going to put these in your eye. They're going to make your eyeballs numb." And the first thing I ran through my head was, I was like, "Oh, why would you make my eyeballs numb?" He goes, "Because we're going to poke you in the eye." And I went, "Hey, what are you talking about?" Like, you can't just surprise a guy with a poke in the face, right? So he turns around and he says, No. We just checked. We checked the pressure or the dexterity, I should say, of the eye. So anyway, he does it. While I'm awake, which I would have rather have been asleep. Well, he does it. Sure. And it looks like, to give an example, if you've never had it done, imagine being underwater and somebody putting a finger in the water and you watching the ripples, but right on your eye. That's what it was like. It was so freaky to watch that sort of like that ripple effect on your eyeball. And I went, there's a part of me that just went, "That's amazing." But the other side of it is just, did he just poke me in the face? Like, is he poking me in the eye? It's crazy.
I think I'd rather get a shot of air. And do you mind if I mention a movie really quick? I was hoping to get this in yesterday.
Sure.
Did you ever see the movie Being There?
No, Peter Sellers, right?
Peter Sellers. You got to see it.
Never
this guy was a gardener that was a savant.
Yes.
And he worked for a billionaire. The guy gave him his hand-down clothes. The guy's passed away. So he got hit by a car driven by Shirley MacLaine's chauffeur.
Yes.
And they were worried about getting sued, so they brought him home. All this guy knew was gardening. So every time he spoke about gardening. They thought he was a great philosopher. And it kind of reminds me of the Democrats and how they view their top people.
Now I have to go see it now.
They thought he was a genius.
Yeah,
I hope you do. Let me know.
You got it. I definitely will, Steve. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to think about watching that tonight. Now I have to convince my wife to watch it. I appreciate it. That's an interesting movie. I know all you have to do is say Being There. I know it's Peter Sellers. I didn't watch a lot of his movies. I will say this. I did watch a lot of the Pink Panther films that I watched. All right, last but not least, caller. Could it be my brother from another mother? No, I'm only kidding. It's not set up. James in Windsor. Is that you, James?
Hey, Kid Reese, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, sir. What's going on?
Good. Okay. We were on the subject of the eye.
Yes.
I have a joke for you.
Okay.
There was this one guy. He had a false eye, and every night he used to put it in a glass of water and put it on the side of his bed. So one day he woke up, like in the middle of the night, he was thirsty as all hell. So he reached for the glass with the eye in it, and he didn't even think. He just drank it. But he had an eye appointment the next day. Well, he had a doctor's appointment the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So as the doctor was in the process of taking care of him, he kept looking at what the doctor was doing. The doctor says, "Look, dude, you're going to have to trust me. You're going to have to trust me." So it was a head to toe test.
Yes, a head-to-toe examination, right.
Yeah, so he was, the last part was his bottom part.
Yes.
So the doctor went to like spread his cheeks, and the guy eye poked out of his butthole. So the doctor looked at him and said, "Hey man, you gotta trust me. I'm the doctor. You gotta trust me. Stop watching me."
That's not.
That's the joke.
Thank you, James. I appreciate you. It's an honor to give you our last but not least caller of the day. You earned it. We'll make sure he gets a dozen bagels. Interestingly enough, I have to give him bagels after that that joke. Never mind. It just goes in another direction. Courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Manchester, and Vernon. Also, let me see. Lori mentioned, I saw this in the chat room. Lori said she had her cataract surgery at 50. But I never really think about that stuff until someone mentions it, and now I can't stop thinking about it. You know, now that he's mentioned it, I'm going, which, look, if he says another 10, 15 years, we're looking at me being 70 before I need it, which I should be happy about, right? 70 years old getting cataract surgery, that seems about right. But now all of you guys are telling me you're getting it at 50. Mark Christopher's having his early. I'm not going to have mine early. I'm going to wait until like it gets to that point where I can't see my wife. Just that's what I'm talking about. My wife told me that she had one of her patients who said that he had cataract surgery. He said because he wasn't seeing very well. He said after the surgery was done, he looked up and he was like, wow, I really, really can see. He said, I looked at my wife and I said, wow, she's gotten really unattractive. That's just mean.
That hurts.
That's hurt.
Oh my goodness, you can't say that.
I know, but I couldn't believe that he
you
actually
can't
said
think it either.
Yes, exactly.
Oh man.
As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio.
You could think it all you want.
Jason Caterina's got your weather getting home, and our good friend Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center. You're off tomorrow, right? You're out of here tomorrow.
I am off tomorrow. Yes,
Okay.
I'll be back Monday. We're gonna be back, ready to go, leading up to the Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
All next week.
Big
So
deal.
looking forward to that.
Have a good one, sir.
Hey, Reese, thank you. You too. And if you're heading into Hartford right now, Southbound 91.
All right, good sir.
All right, good show.
Then you're sluggish again.
One more day.
And then down next to 23 in Rocky Hill. Earlier accident
one
between
more.
23 and 22.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, I had my year eye exam in December with 0 issues, but April I couldn't see anything out of my left eye. Really, Lori? Wow. Damn. Matt says, I'm sure nepotism for another plaque. I didn't know he was going to call. He said he was a really big fan of Beverly Hills Cop. Peter Sellers did? I didn't know that. James Comey is my uncle. I take offense to that. Every year for my birthday, he gave me untraceable bear bonds. Does that sound shady? Yeah, it does. Anyway, all right, guys. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'm about to go out to dinner with Jerry over at Between Rounds. There's some sort of weird thing going on here. So I got to get out of here. I love you guys always. Take care of yourselves. All right. See you tomorrow.